My name is Tyler Fornes, and I am one of the co-hosts of the Good, the Bad, and the Hungy AEW podcast here on the Voice of Wrestling Podcasting Network. We take a broad scope approach to the world of All Elite Wrestling and the entire universe of Tony Khan. We talk about the big matches, the big stars, the promos, the storylines, and we also look at it from a big picture perspective. How are things going to change over the course of the next 10 years with AEW still in the picture? How are companies like WWE going to adapt and adjust to AEW? Are they going to be a similar way like they did with WCW in the late 1990s? Will there be a counterpunch? We talk about all of that and more on The Good, the Bad, and the Hungy every week on the Voices of Wrestling Network.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Omakase. It is episode number 250. Yes, kind of a milestone here. So episode number 250. It took us forever to hit this episode number just because of how rarely we've been doing episodes. But I guess before we get into today's topic, I want to talk a little bit about that. So as you may have noticed, we've done about 3 episodes now in the past month after recording, like twice a year. So if you haven't been following me on Twitter, where I kind of already said this, I guess we're basically back. It's not something I really thought heavily about. I just kind of got the podcast urge again. I don't think we're ever going to be like a weekly podcast again. I just don't see that happening. But we're definitely a regular podcast again. So I would say probably 1 to 2 episodes a month, probably from now on, is what I'm going to aim for. So just kind of like, when I have time and when there's topics I want to talk about, we are going to keep doing Omakase. So if you've missed us, I hope you enjoy having us back in your podcast rotation every month. If you hate me, I'm very sorry that you have to hate listen to me again for some reason, but I know I do have hate listeners, so hello to all of you. Anyway, let's introduce today's guest. We have a returning guest and a new guest. So we'll start with the new guest from Voices of Wrestling, Mr. Will Young. How you doing, Will?
Hi, John. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I don't really get the chance to talk about wrestling on a podcast, and I jumped at this opportunity because these were the shows that we're going to be discussing today are ones that I was either going to watch already or was very interested to watch. So, yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome. And returning from the Emerald Flow Show on this very podcast network, Mr. Paul Volsch. Hello, Paul.
Hello, John. Yeah, I'm happy to be back after a break of, well, actually not that many episodes technically. It's been a year, but I think it's really only been like 5 episodes, I think, back, essentially.
Yeah, last time you were on was when we were in Japan, which was...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, 2 trips ago for me. Your last trip, I think, right?
Yeah.
You're going for the end of this year, I think?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going back. I'm basically redoing the same trip I did last year. I'm going to redo it again this year. I'm going to go again for I'm going to see Tanahashi retire in the Dome. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And whatever else comes up. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish I could do that too, but I don't think I could make it fit. But Anyway, plus I need to I feel like I need to save my retirement excuse to tell Nicole I have to go to Japan again, more
I
often for another person who probably is going to retire. Not that.
yeah, that's
Not that.
fair. That's fair. I think I think you would literally never forgive yourself if you can't make it to Japan for that retirement.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody knows who I'm talking about there. I mean, it's like, I have my planned trip, which my next planned trip I'm probably going to do is fall 2026. And then I feel like if this certain wrestler, who actually we're going to talk about when we get to the New Japan stuff today, if this certain wrestler does retire, before that, and I have to go before that, and I have to go before that. But if he retires like Tokyo Dome 2027, then it's like, well, I'm sorry, I just have to go to Japan 2 times really close together. What can you do? I hate doing that, of course. I mean, it's just it breaks my heart to go to Japan.
Terrible. Yeah, it's such a terrible fate.
But what are you gonna do? All right. So we're here today to talk about primarily 3 shows from this past weekend. The Noah show from May 3rd at Sumo Hall, and the 2 New Japan shows, Wrestling Dontaku from Fukuoka. I briefly wanted to touch upon the Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom show, just because I know I have a lot of listeners who are also very into Stardom, like right now, as I am. It's kind of old news at this point. I mean, it's, a few weeks old, but since we did do a big preview of it on the last episode, I just wanted to quickly mention it. I mean, this to me is like the pro wrestling show of the year. So if anyone is listening to this and hasn't watched it yet, I would highly, including my 2 guests apparently who haven't seen it yet, I would highly recommend watching it. I mean, it ends with an incredibly emotional main event, the career versus career match between Saya Kamatani and Tam Nakano. Just an amazing, probably, besides the fact that it was just produced very well, and I think it was actually Rich Crace who said recently on a Flagship Plus that the Saya's entrance was better than anything on WrestleMania, and they did a great, and I honestly I wouldn't know since I did not watch WrestleMania, but I'll take his word for it since he did. But they did such an amazing job with just the pageantry of it. The actual match was awesome. I would go 4.5 stars on the match. And then that moment at the end where they just hug each other on top of the ramp, and the black and white feathers are coming down, and it just cuts to black, and the entire crowd just goes and the lights come back on, and they're both gone. I mean, that's for over dramatic stuff that's kind of I wouldn't say corny is the right word, but just very very over dramatic, very pageant heavy. I don't really know if it gets any better than that. I mean, that was just amazing stuff, and just a moment I'll always remember. So definitely an amazing main event. And then there were tons of other great matches on the show too. I mean, I've seen some people say they didn't think the semi-main was that great, which was Starlight Kid retaining the Wonder over Azumi. I thought it was pretty great. I went 4.25 on that match. I mean, definitely have seen both wrestlers do better, which just says the standard I hold both wrestlers to. That 4.25 you could maybe say was still a little disappointing, but still a great match. My match of the night was Shiori defeating Mayu Iwatani in 21:54 to win the IWGP Women's title, which, of course, we now know was Mayu Iwatani's last match in the company before jumping to Marigold. Amazing match, a 4 3/4 star match. If it wasn't for the unfortunate botch coming out of the corner with Mayu missing the reverse Rana she was trying to do, which is just a very ballsy move to even attempt, a leaping reverse Rana off the turnbuckle. If it wasn't for that botch, I probably would have gone the full 5. I mean, just a very me core kind of match where it was a lot of technical wrestling, a lot of striking, just very serious and very straightforward head wrestling. So this is the kind of shit that I absolutely love, and I think I actually did like it very slightly more than the Shiori versus Sarii 30-minute draw from earlier this year, which was a very similar type of match. So yeah, that match was amazing. The Maika versus Chihiro Hashimoto Sendai Girls World Title match was great. The Mei Sierra against Suzu Suzuki grudge match was awesome, and that match way over delivered for me. It's kind of funny they did a no DQ match, and then basically just did a regular match where they both bled. But the match was awesome. I mean, like 4.25-star match again, just a really really wild match. And there pretty much wasn't anything bad on this card, so it's just the kind of show I would just say watch the whole thing. But yeah, just a great show that really if there's any roster that can handle losing, Tom Nakano and Mayu Iwatani, and I guess if you want to throw Thekla in there, I mean she did serve a role, even though I know a lot of Stardom fans, Western Stardom fans apparently really hate her. I don't really have that strong opinion on her. I don't really care either way, honestly. But yeah, they are losing her, so she looks like she's going to AEW, and they're all on top of that. They're losing Micah to a long-term injury. So it sounds like last night in Fukuoka in her hometown was her last date for a while. It sounds like she's going to be out like probably most of this year. So we'll see how long the elbow surgery takes. So yeah, there is a lot of top talent to lose at once, but if anyone can handle, I think it would be Stardom. So yeah, briefly just to mention that. The other show, actually, I didn't even mention this off air. Did either of you see the Mako Satomura retirement show?
No, I didn't, but thank you for reminding me, actually, because for this podcast, I got a subscription to Wrestle Universe. So, and I was like, at one point I was like, there's one more thing on here that I want to watch before this goes away. And that was it. You just reminded me. So thank you. I will be watching that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Paul, did you see it or no?
No, actually, I literally was asked this same thing actually just last week, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember John raving about the main event of that one, so I should really get around to watching that." And I haven't managed to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I guess if people listening haven't watched it, it's on Wrestle Universe since Sendai Girls is on there now, and the whole show is pretty fun. I mean, the undercard is a lot of like zany comedy, like you have. I know a lot of people, especially people who watch her all the time, are very tired of Sakura Hirota. So I saw I was watching that show live actually, and because it was like an 11:30 a.m. Japan start, and I was amazed by how many people on the Voice Wrestling Discord were like really against Sakura Hirota, and I'm like, well, I enjoy her, but I guess it's like I don't watch a ton of like really really tiny Joshi shows, so I've only seen like I only see her like once in a while when she shows up in like Sendai Girls or something. So maybe I'm just not sick of her like some other people are. But yeah, she showed up as as Shin Mako Satomura, and the crowd like just cheering her on like she's actually Mako, like because obviously it's a sold out Korakuen who's there for her retirement, and they're like they're chanting for Mako when Sakura is out there, and I believe it's Mayumi Ozaki, one of her two opponents, who just yells like, that's not her. What are you people talking about? Like the way she yells it so angrily at the crowd was really funny. But yeah, like she really had like the manner, like the facial expressions down, like these really like overly serious facial expressions, and she had these hilarious like drawn on eyebrows, like very thick eyebrows and this drawn on chin. So it was very funny. So I enjoyed that, and there was also like a wacky battle royal where like we had a ton of old. Basically, a lot of people started in the ring at once, but then they also had a lot of X's, so who would come in one at a time, and they had like a lot of the old Joshi legends, like both the God, who the fuck was there? Now I'm completely blanking off the top of my head. Well, the important one is the last person was both the Kyoko Inoue was there and Takako Inoue actually, and the last person who came out was Minoru Suzuki, and the way the entire ring reacted, like, what, we have to fight him? It was just, and they all just kind of like ran for the hills. Was really funny. But he ends up getting eliminated at the end by Aniki. It's just a really, really, really cool battle royal that I didn't pull the thing up ahead of time, so I don't have the list of people in it right in front of me. But yeah, definitely a cool match that I enjoyed watching. And then the main event, was just awesome, which was Mako Satomura teaming up with her 20-year-old protege Manami, and they took on Aja Kong and Chihiro Hashimoto. And that I went 4.5 stars in this match. I thought it was awesome. I mean, Manami looked great when she was in there. I mean, she's only 20 years old, but she's been wrestling since she was 12. So it's one of these wrestlers in Joshi that's just been around for a million years already, even though she's so young. and she really really looked great in there when she was in there. And Aja Kong, she can only do so much at her age, but she really rolled things back like as well as she could, because she did do a great job in there. And then and Chihiro Hashimoto, I mean, she was obviously very pumped to be in there for Mako's last match. It was very emotional, so all that added to it, and just it was an awesome match. Mako has to be like one of the best wrestlers I've ever seen, like willingly retire. I mean, she looks like she could just keep doing this forever. She had an amazing match that I also won 4.5 on with Chihiro a couple months ago for a singles match for the Sunday Goes World title, where she lost the title to Chihiro. So, that was at their Yoyogi show a few months ago. So, yeah, definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen that one. And, Mako, she just looks like she could still do this at a very high level. So it's kind of funny that she's retiring now. But, maybe she's really hurting. You never really know, I guess. But, yeah, that's some quick Joshi hits, I guess, that required me to talk on my own here. So let's move over to Noah, and let's go to the Noah Sumo Hall show on May 3rd, which was Line Yahoo Presents Pro Wrestling Noah 25th Anniversary Tournament Memorial Voyage 2025 in Kokugikon. Paul, as our resident Noah expert here, why do they love these incredibly long titles?
Well, sponsors. I think is the very quick answer here. It's I think it's mostly, I mean, obviously it's sponsors that are like, that they get through like them being owned by Cyber. I want to say CyberLife, but that's not what the name of the company is. It's Cyber Agent, yes. Yeah. They're owned by Cyber Agent, so they obviously get like the sponsors through them. And so I think, well, they really only do it for big shows. Like, they don't really do it for the small shows. But yeah, their big shows are all like, this is this show presented by this company that you've never heard of, who probably does some weird like business process improvement software, but only in Japanese. So yeah.
So this show, it did a attendance of 4,521. That was up over 1,000 people from last year's Sumo Hall show. That did 3,512 for a Kaito Kiyomiya versus Dr. Wagner Jr. main, or Hyode Wagner Jr. And it was up even more from 2023, which only did 2,721 for Jake Lee versus Naomichi Marufuji. Big draw, Jake Lee there. not packing him into Sumo Hall with that title reign. The last show that did a higher number than this was all the way back in 2019. The last Sumo Hall show, I mean. So that did 5,523 for Kaito versus Kano. So there you go. The biggest number in this building since 2019. I saw some people hoping they would get 5,000. They didn't quite hit that number, but Paul, still a very good number, I think, for Noah in this building.
Yeah, no, I was actually one of the people that was kind of hoping that they would at least get to 5,000, but you can't really like poo-poo like the biggest number that they've done in like over like in like in 6 years basically. Yeah. Like, no, that's a great achievement. Yeah, I think it's hard to spin this as not a success, really. That's the thing.
Yeah. I would say it's like a good success. Like, anything over 5,000 would have been like a huge success, and I would call this like a good success.
And it's also not like they loaded up the card either, right? No. Like, it would have been another thing if they had loaded up even more, if they had somehow gotten like, well, they couldn't have gotten Naito because it was literally wrestling at the same time in like New Japan. But let's say they could have gotten like, I don't know, like had rung up WWE again to be like, hey, can we have Nakamura for this like Sumo Hall show or whatever? Then I think it would have been more reasonable to expect. Like, I think then it would have been disappointing if they hadn't gotten to 5,000. But then otherwise, like, what was like a drawing match on the show? It's like,
it was okay, really like just the main.
Jun Akiyama in a tag match? Not really. And then I guess maybe Marufuji Kaito. But is Kaito really, like, Kaito isn't that much of a draw. Let's just, like, we just have to admit that. So, like, I think you can very safely put this on the shoulders of two people, which were the two people in the main event.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way attendance has picked up at Korakuen ever since Ozawa beat him for the title. I mean, it's very clear who the draw of this company is. So the other thing I wanted to mention about the I guess the attendance is they are using the smaller Sumo Hall configuration because you can see on camera for people who haven't been in the building. So usually there's a lot of sumo boxes, right? I feel like you can see this on camera even, where the sumo boxes come all the way down, and there's only about 3 rows, maybe 4, of ringside seats. So that's the normal configuration. The smaller configuration, they basically push in the box seats. They can like fold in basically, and so the box seats start much higher. You can't even really see them on camera, and it's like all the ringside seating extends out like much further. I feel like to 10 rows, but by doing that, you cut off a lot of seating. So I feel like the capacity with that setup is what, like 6,000 probably, right? With 2 per box.
Yeah, no, because there's just too much missing there. Like this, like it's very noticeable as well with just like the wall right there on the hard cam, which is like not what it looks like in the like big setup and everything.
Yeah. So because I feel with the normal setup 2 per box, I think I think capacity is like 8,000 or 9,000. I think. So I think
that sounds right.
So I think you lose about 2,000 or 3,000 seats basically doing this. So
yeah.
So yeah, it was like 4,500, maybe a capacity of 6,000. Okay, so we'll get into the actual matches now. I mean, I would say overall, so what you had said about this show being, on paper, maybe not being the deepest lineup, I was not super excited for this show going in, besides the main, and I thought it really over-delivered. I thought like a lot of the stuff on this show was better than I was expecting it to be, and even the stuff that I really wasn't that excited for, I thought everybody kind of worked hard and they had their Sumo Hall working boots on, like they were like out there, treating this like a big show and, having better matches and spots than I thought they would. I don't know if you'd agree, Paul.
No, I think I would broadly agree with that. I think I would say the first half of the show wasn't that great. Like there wasn't really all that much like sink your teeth in on that one. But I think everything kind of like in the second half of the show, I think kind of very much delivered, and we're probably going to go a bit more in depth on that.
There's one match on the first half of the show that was awesome, which I thought which really probably carried the first half. But
yeah, fair.
Yeah. So, and then Will, I guess just to bring you in here, you're not a regular Noah viewer. I'm not sure when the last time you watched Noah is. You can let me know. But you were kind of dropping in for this show.
Yeah, I kind of keep my eye on Noah a little bit, and like here and there, I might watch like one of the bigger shows of the year, or just one of the bigger matches that I see kind of advertised. But I very much I want to give a shout out to everybody who runs the Pro Wrestler Systems wiki, because I had that open the whole time just to make sure that I could grasp everything that was going on. But I will say that like between that and the way that Noah is generally produced, like it's very, excuse me, it's very welcoming to somebody who is more of a casual viewer. Like I didn't really feel all that lost for any of the story beats, or I felt like I could enjoy everything on its own terms, or at least, consume everything on its own terms.
And it helps, of course, it has English commentary too, so they can explain some of the stuff. I mean, they do a good job. I mean, I know some people don't seem to love their English commentary, but I've always thought the two of them do a good job.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think that's very much a thing where, like, I think people kind of let their like personal feelings on some of the commentators kind of blind themselves to like what the quality of the commentary actually is, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I think they both do a good job. So did I didn't see the dark match. Did either of you see the dark match? It was Yuto Kikuchi beating Daiki Otoshima in 924.
I did. I liked it. Not super familiar with either of these guys. I had to. This was the opportunity where I was like, okay, looking up what Rattel's is and everything. And just trying to get my head around who's in it, who used to be in it. But I enjoyed the work here. I actually really like Daiki Otoshima. I like what I saw from him. I loved the red getup, and I thought that he had some really convincing near falls for essentially a young lion match, and I really appreciated that because, of course, he's fated to lose, as they all are. But I got a kick out of this one.
Yeah, I've been I did as well. I've generally always been raving on the Emerald Flow show about like Daiki Otoshima. Like both me and Gerard like love him. Like he is just like he's one of those guys where he just comes in and instantly you just know like, oh, this guy is going to be something, because he just got over instantly. He just instantly showed like so much potential, and like I think especially his crowd connection is something. It's weirdly his best work so far has been with Kazuyuki Fujita, where
they've had such a cool like feud / team.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's just like this little twerp basically that like Fujita will just like annihilate, but then he like Fujita got like overconfident and he did like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you in a minute, and then Oroshima actually managed to get like a 1 minute time limit draw out of him and everything. And yeah, like he's too small, like even for Noah to ever be a heavyweight, but like this guy is going to be like a big deal in like the junior division, like hopefully relatively like soonish. Like I hope this isn't the case when Noah just drags their feet forever. Like I hope like you have to have him be a young boy for like a year or two, but I think then you should actually push him after that.
So yeah, I don't know why I didn't watch it. I think so. I watched this show live. It aired like 2 a.m. on a Friday night, Eastern time. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch it live. And I just totally forgot about it. I guess like I tuned in at 2 a.m. and was like, oh. The opener of the main show was the GHC Junior Tag Team Title match. Dragon's Bane and Alpha Wolf defeating Amakusa and Junta Miyawaki. This match somehow only went 11 minutes and 37 seconds according to this, but it felt longer because man did they pack a lot of shit into that 11:37. Dragon's Bane pinned Miyawaki, so they became the 63rd champions. The champions here failed in their second defense. So I don't watch a lot of lucha. I think Omakase Omakase listeners famously know that about me. So I had really not very familiar with the challengers here. Apparently they're from IWRG, I think, right? Paul, did you know that?
Yeah, I mean they've also been regulars in Noah for a couple of years now as well.
Oh, okay.
So
I probably seen them and just aren't remembering.
Remember I've seen their names a lot, and their names always stand out a lot, especially because I think I had Alpha Wolf confused with Mecha Wolf for a while, and I was like, why are they booking that guy?
No, don't. These are the guys that once got in trouble with Shima.
Okay. Oh wow, they worked. Okay, so they worked 70 matches in Noah last year. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, no. They were very much regulars. Like they were like champions and everything. They had like a feud with Tadasuke and Yohei, and no, like they were the people that I kind of was mad at myself that I forgot them to put them on the 30 under 30 list last year, because they would literally like I literally forgot that to put them on there. Like it wasn't even that like I didn't find a spot for them, because I would have if I hadn't just forgotten. So no, these two are excellent, and they're stupidly young too.
They won, they're like Dragon Bay. I just thought it was only 25. I guess Alpha Wolf is 26. Yeah, very young. So they won the belts back in September 2023 and held them until January 2024. So I would have seen them lose the titles in person then.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, you were there.
Clearly left an impression on you.
Oh, I've never seen these guys. I mean, I was there when they lost the belts last time. But yeah, they were awesome here, though. I mean, it definitely left an impression on this. I mean, first of all, I want to say about Alpha Wolf, I'm not sure that motherfucker's 100 kilos. Or they list him at exactly 100 kilos. He looks like he's heavier than that to me. So he's one of these like Shingo as a junior person. Where like, I don't know, buddy.
Yeah, he's dense. He's very dense.
He's very, very dense. But yeah, they just did like every move in history in like 11 minutes and 37 seconds. It fucking rocked. Just an insane sprint of a match. The spot I think that everyone has probably already seen on Twitter, even if you haven't watched the match, Alpha Wolf like goes to do this dive. He overshoots it so much, he flies over the railing, crashes right through a table by himself. I've never seen that before, honestly, in all my time watching wrestling. He fucking just flew out here. He maybe touched whichever guy he was trying to dive on with his hand or something. Yeah, maybe with his hand or something. He was flying by at most. So
I screamed when that happened.
Yeah, I went forward a quarter on this. I fucking loved it. Just a completely insane junior sprint of a match, and this is the match that really started the card out on the right foot. What do you think of it? Yeah.
It was an excellent opener. I fully agree with you there. Like just like exactly what you need to like get the crowd going. And I mean, it's really the thing with like Los Golpeadores is just, they're perfect for like this kind of stuff where like they're just like, it's the right kind of reckless. Like there's another match later that also kind of to me had like the right kind of reckless as well. So it's, but I think these two guys especially are just so good at that, and I think that dive from like Alpha Wolf just kind of just encapsulates that just really, really well. Just like you can't even put that on a max up because he just completely just like jumps so fucking far, and just insane stuff. I to me actually I will say I think these two are like one of the best tag teams in the world right now. Like, and not just because there aren't that many great tag teams. I think these two are just like just that right amount of just complete recklessness, but then also like have like actual wrestling ability to not just do spots when it's needed as well. So yeah, I to me in the preview, like when me and Gerard talked about it, I was like, you can't really go wrong with like either team. Like it's one of those title matches where like I'm completely fine if either of them wins. I don't think there's a wrong booking decision, so I'm obviously happy that they won.
This is as basically my first time watching all four of these guys. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I went 3.5, which to me is like it's a good match. I enjoyed especially Alpha Wolf and Dragonbane, and to your point, Paul, I left that match feeling like I've been missing out on these guys. I should have been seeking them out more. So I think I will try to do that from here on.
The second match was your Here's Everybody on the Card Who Has Nothing Else to Do match. It was a 10-man tag with Mohamed Yone, Kazuyuki Fujita, Atsushi Kotoge, Hajime Ohara, and Blackman Soray, defeating Masa Kitamiya, Shuei Taniguchi, Shuji Kondo, Alejandro, and Kai Fujimura. It was 9:56, Kotoge hitting Fujimura with the kill switch. This was like a little better than you'd expect just because everybody had those Ryogoku working boots on I mentioned before. It was like a gentleman's 3 type match when, normally I think you get like, this would be like a 2.5 star match on a Korakuen. So, nothing you need to watch, obviously, but nothing you're going to like regret watching either. Interesting. The only other thing I have to know about this is Shuji Kondo recently announced he's leaving Dragon Gate again. Or he left Dragon Gate again, I should say, at the end of April. So I wonder if we'll see him in Noah more often now. I guess we'll have to see. Any thoughts on this 10-man tag, Will, real quick?
I just had a quick question. Paul, maybe when I had the card open, I had it open to card just to make sure I wasn't spoiled. One of the wrestlers listed was Harutoki, and I guess that was in place of Shuji Kondo. So was Kondo replacing Harutoki?
Yeah, but I don't know.
Harutoki got injured, I think.
Yeah, I think he got injured. Yeah. I haven't actually seen what his injury is. Like, it had to have been like very recent as well, because he had like just wrestled on like the most recent like shows as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
okay.
No, he was an injury replacement. Harutoki is actually like a guy they've brought in like relatively recently, like solid mid carder. But
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this match, real quick, Paul?
I was just happy to see Kotoge get a win. Yeah. Because Kotoge has been like taking a lot of losses like over the last couple of months.
It's also been
like so much hair. So. Yeah. That too. He's just kind of been lost in the shuffle, I have to say, since because like I think his problem is that his tag partners keep getting injured like really badly. Because obviously
he's still a junior again, right?
He is still a junior, but then he was like Go's regular tag partner recently. So, but then Go obviously now is like double knee surgery, so he's gonna be out for like whoever knows how long. Yeah. And then before that, obviously he was teaming with Harada until Harada had to retire because of the neck injury. Yeah. And yeah, I don't like it. He's just been really badly lost in the shuffle. So whatever wins he can get, I'll take them.
Remember his like push when he was a heavyweight and they gave him that ridiculous looking cape?
Yeah.
Every time I see him, I think of that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were gonna do that. I mean, that's the thing. I felt like they were gonna do like another push with him as a heavyweight because Go had to like drop out of the N1, right? And then they replaced him with Kotoge, and then Kotoge gets injured in his first match in the N1 against Josh Briggs, and
Yeah. That was a bad break. That is for sure.
yeah.
Next up, we had Tadasuke defeating Hayata in 903. This was the referee Judgment Soya match. Manabu Soya out there to be the referee. So this, of course, comes from Tadasuke turning on Rattels to join up with Team 2000X a couple months ago in Yokohama. What in the fuck was this Manabu Soya out? Like, he has this bright yellow hair with like blue and red in the front. So it's like yellow, bright yellow, blue and red. These bright yellow pants. This is like if a midlife crisis gained sentience and like walked among us. Like, this is not a midlife crisis. It's like a midlife Armageddon. Like, this man, I don't even know how to describe. Like, buddy, you're like 42 or something. Is he even older than that, actually?
No. He's not. He's
Oh,
younger
he's
than
40.
you think
Okay,
he is.
he's
Yeah,
40.
he's younger than you think he is.
Okay. But that's still pretty bad for 40 years. I mean, I'm not that far off, and I would not get my hair dyed bright yellow and red and blue and walk around with bright yellow pants at this point. I mean, that is like, sir, come on. Like, what are you doing?
He also just got married and got himself into like tremendous shape too. So like, I get it even less. Like, it's like, and was it blue or was it black? Because to me it looked like black. So I was like,
right.
So to me it was like he dyed his hair like the Belgian flag, basically. It was big fan, like big statement of support for Mike DiVecchio over in All Japan from Soya.
So basically, I don't understand like why. So Soya, I guess, said what he was gonna like be right down the middle, right? Because he was trying to call this right down the middle the entire time, which was interesting considering Tadasuke turned on him. But anyway, but yeah, shenanigans.
But then,
basically
sorry, just real quick, because the reason Soya joined Rattels in the first place was because of Tadasuke.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because they had that national title match right at the start of the
year,
which was
exactly. Match, and then Tadasuke, like, because when Soya then lost the title to Endo, it was Tadasuke and the rest of Rattels that like ran in for the save.
Yeah. And then Tadasuke's like, you know what? I'm going to go join Team 2000X.
Yeah.
So see you later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some shenanigans happened here, basically. Hayata got hit with a chair. I think they were like fighting over the chair, right? Like, is what happened?
Yeah. Soya and Tadasuke were fighting over the chair, and then it just swung into Hayata's face.
Sort of the SummerSlam 97 finish with like Soya being like, oh, I got to count this now. God damn it. He counts the pin. He's like near tears about it, this meaningless match. I thought was really funny. I would call this like inoffensively stupid. 2.5-star match. I laughed a few times. It wasn't very good, but I didn't hate it or anything. What did you think of all this malarkey, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I only know enough to know that like of the times I've seen Noah in the last few years, I'm not the greatest fan of Tadasuke. Although credit to him, he looked like he was in better shape than probably the last time I saw him was when he was with Keno. So like he looks like he's been keeping in good shape, and good on him for that. And this just kind of washed over me. I was able to keep up with like the whole Rattels and Team 2000X of it all, but I was like, all right, I don't really have any attachment to any of this. In fact, I saw you talking in the Slack about how Manabu Soya looked, and I was like, oh, I guess he doesn't look like that all the time.
I mean, he's had like a bunch of ridiculous looks, I feel like, ever since he joined Rattels, but this might have been his most ridiculous. Okay. Or not even might have been, it definitely was. Any final thoughts on this whole whatever?
The only things I would have is on the post-match when Daiki Inaba comes out.
So Daiki Inaba, who we haven't seen in quite a long time, right? I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah, he had a knee injury, so he was out for a while.
So he randomly... So I want to get the exact date, because the exact date might make it even funnier. So Daiki Inaba, people might remember him. He used to be the ace of Wrestle 1 towards the end, before that happened. Yeah, his last
Former world champion. His last appearance was July 13th, 2024. So he's been out almost a fucking full year at this point, 10 months. And his return is him running out
and yelling the word passion repeatedly. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He just runs out and yells the word passion. Again, it's passionate Rattel. So I guess he's announcing he wants to join, but he announced it in the most ridiculous way possible. And that's your return after 10 months, running out like almost a comedy spot and yelling, passion over and over again. Just very weird.
Not almost a comedy spot. It was fully a comedy spot because Soya and Hayata just completely no-sold him and just rolled out of the ring.
That is true. I didn't even think of that part. Like, they were just like, we don't know what this guy's doing. And they just fucking left.
Yeah. It also, Inaba comes out, like, ripped to shreds as well. Like, he got himself into tremendous shape to, like, be a complete geek, basically. Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening here.
Very strange. But yeah, so I guess Daiki now is joining Rattel's, maybe. Who knows? The next match, the GHC national title, Galeno retained against Saxon Huxley in 528 with the Galeno special. Saxon yelling, which is they're actually all yelling the Japanese word for passion, which is jontetsu, and yelling that, and he said it much worse than I did, by the way, and I didn't say it that well. So him yelling it in an English accent was so fucking funny. In the Discord, when we were all watching this live, I was comparing it to, I don't know if you guys have ever watched James Bond movies, but in You Only Live Twice, Sean Connery goes undercover as a Japanese fisherman. And first of all, he looks completely ridiculous as this supposedly Japanese fisherman, but he's talking Japanese in a Scottish accent and like saying, like Ohio gozaimasu, like just very. I probably just did it better than he did too, like pronunciation wise, and like he's just giving this like very like Scottish accent as he's delivering these Japanese lines, and that's sort of what Saxon Huxley sounded like, being this Englishman yelling jontetsu over and over again. Just very, very funny. So yeah, probably made this one of his more entertaining matches for me. It could have been much worse. It was very short. It sure wasn't good while it lasted. It was like a 2-star match, but could have been worse.
Can I ask both of you guys, since again these two I'm not familiar with, like do they suck? Like, am I?
No, Galeno's really good for his.
Galeno's good, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Galeno, I'm sorry.
That's where I was like, I also went 2 stars on this, and I was just like, okay, I don't know either of them well enough to know who I should have expected better out of, who that I should basically write off. So that was one of the notes I had going into this. I was like, I'm going to ask them, do either of these guys, are they known to suck? So that's what I'm curious. Saxon
is awful. Like, Saxon is legitimately, I'm like, I would have been a better choice to put on Rattel than him. I'm not a trained wrestler. Like, Galeno is like young. Galeno is still only like 23, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
No. He's like 40.
No, he is El Hio, the Dr. Wagner Jr.'s younger brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, he's really young.
I just thought he was like a 40-year-old. He just kind
of...
No. From how he moved.
I mean, you're not the first one, actually, now that I think about it, because I think I recorded an episode of the Emerald Flow show with Jeff Andrews, where I think he also thought, like, Galeno was like 40. So you're definitely not the first guy to think that.
All right.
No, he's just a big guy who can do like crazy spots, but like that's not gonna come through against a guy like Saxon Huxley,
right?
Who's just not very good. Like, I just don't understand why they brought him back and put him in Rattel's. Like, he's somehow a worse choice for Rattel's than Manabu Soya was, and Manabu Soya already doesn't fit the vibe of a faction built around Hayata and Yohei. So yeah, it's. Again, I actually will say I agree with John, actually, that this match actually kind of exceeded my expectations. But that's also purely, again, because Saxon Huxley is just... I think he's the worst wrestler on Noah's roster.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to think if there's anybody I think is worse, but no, I think he's the worst one on their roster.
Okay. I won't write off Galeno yet. I think I just need more input. But this was it's not a
Yeah,
great
I can see if I can give you some recs for some Galeno matches.
sure,
I'll
yeah.
probably send you like his like debut match in Great where he knocks out a guy with a cannonball as the finish.
His match for Ozawa for the title a month or so ago was pretty damn
Yeah,
good too.
yeah, that was pretty good too. Yeah.
Next up, we have the GHC Tag Team Title match. Kano and Oka Sasaki defeating Jack Morris and Daga. Sasaki pinning Morris in 13-24, or actually, he beat him by referee stoppage with a sleeper hold. So the 69th champions, nice, they failed in their first defense, and Kano and Sasaki became the 70th champions. So the match felt a little disjointed to me early, especially during the Oka Heat segment. But then when Kano tagged in, his hot tag picked it up quite a bit. So that it did improve a lot at that point. And there was a cool spot where he gave both of them an ankle lock at the same time. Things did get a little awkward again when Oka was back in. So he's very green still. He's came over from mixed martial arts and has only been doing this for like a year and a half now, Paul, I think, right?
Yeah, we were at his debut.
Oh, really? That was his debut? Okay, so it's even less. Yeah, I guess exactly a year and a half. So he's just not very good at knowing where to be and like little things like that. I'd say like that's his biggest problem. Like he, in a tag match especially, like he just kind of can be out of position a little bit. But what he does look pretty good a lot of the time. I mean, the sleeper he locked in, where he locks it at the end, it looked pretty cool, and he like climbs the second turnbuckle as Jack Morris is trying to get out of it, and like kind of flips him over and puts him out. So it's a very cool finish. I thought the match ended up being pretty good by the end. I went 3 1/4, so nothing like super special, but like had a little bit of issues here and there. But nothing again, a pretty good little match that I mostly enjoyed. What do you think of this one, Paul?
Yeah, no, I agree. This was really good. Maybe a little bit below my expectation. Like I was maybe hoping that it would be more something around like 4, and it didn't quite get to that level for me. But yeah, I think the booking was the right decision as well. Like it's kind of weird because they just had this whole heavyweight tag titles being held up because of this whole weirdness with Omos and everything, and the title getting vacated. And then they only recently actually like did the whole decision match where like Daga and Morris actually won it and all of that. But I do think it's now is the right time to like put a title on Ulka, because again, he's been at it only for like a year and a half, but I think he's developing nicely. But he's also like a guy that you can't put a push off forever because he's 36 or 37, I think, already. Like, I think it's kind of a similar case to like the Saitos in All Japan, where you have to push him sooner rather than later. You have to put titles on him sooner rather than later, and just hope that he develops while he like is in a bigger position. And I think for now, I'm happy with where he's going. Like as you said, like I think especially his submission stuff is really good. So yeah, I just hope that like he keeps up the development that he's been showing over like the last year and a half.
What do you think, Will?
Not a lot to say about this one. I will say that I was interested to kind of read up about Sasaki's backstory and coming into Noah. So I think that it's super cool moment for him to be able to win the tag titles with Keno. I'm sure he's really amped about that. So good for him.
The next match, the GHC Junior Heavyweight title, a very eventful match here. Yohei defeats Eita in 13:08 with his the bamboo dragonfly, which is like this crazy spinning splash he does.
Yeah.
So Eita failed in his 4th defense here, and Yohei became the 58th champion. Now look, the biggest thing about this match, either Yohei did some fucking incredible selling that I've never seen him do, or he got legitimately knocked out at the start of this match. And I think it's the latter. I mean, there's like a moment where Eita, he like kicks him into the railing, right? That's kind of what happened. Mm-hmm. And it looks like he just gets knocked out. I mean, he's out for so long on the outside, and like he just looks like he's, blinking a lot, like he's trying to get his bearings back, even when he's actually back with it. And the referee just keeps talking to him over and over again. So that makes me think he was like legitimately knocked out for a second. Now, the shit they did after that if this man was legitimately knocked out is fucking crazy and probably not a good thing because he took a dragon suplex directly on his head. He took multiple kicks to his head. And I just like some really, really crazy spots. And like this match, the whole thing, I went 4 stars on it by the end. It's a weirdly sick match, way better than I was expecting out of these two, especially out of Yohei. And just the fact that he may have been legitimately knocked out, besides the fact that that's kind of gross, it just kind of made the match even better for me in a weird way where I'm just like, it adds like this sense of danger to it where I'm like wondering how's he even still standing and how are they still going? And, the fact that they actually managed to pull the entire rest of the match off, pretty flawlessly if he was really knocked out, was pretty amazing. So yeah, 4-star match for me. I thought this was great. And this was like one of the things on the show that really over-delivered for me. What did you think of this battle for the junior title, Will?
Again, not as much experience with either of these guys. I've seen Yohei in a bunch of junior tags, and so this is where the English commentary really helped me. I did not realize that he had never had his own singles title. I've just seen him with the junior tag titles so much that I was just like, yeah, he's probably had the singles once or twice or something. So that was a really cool moment, and he did it with, as you said, like an awesome finisher. But yeah, like I couldn't stop thinking about, as I was watching it, to your point, John, of just like, this is either really good concussion selling or, my God, stop dropping him on his head, please.
The crowd too loved that he won this title for the first time. I should have mentioned that. Like they were so into it.
They got really up for it. I don't think I liked it as much as you, but again, I'm kind of lacking context in that sense. But just like, again, like a cool moment. There were a lot of title changes on this show, and this one felt like one of the more special ones for that reason.
What did you think, Paul?
Yeah, I went 4 on this one. I thought this was awesome. I also tend to agree with you, John, that I don't think Yohei like did the most amazing sell you've ever seen. I think he was like legitimately knocked out. Like you could see it in his eyes as well because they were kind of glassy. And yeah, however you think about that, they just continued to do the same match after that I guess they had planned out already is whatever. I mean, it's Yohei's body, I guess, to some degree. I don't know how I really feel about that, but like it was completely awesome as well. Where they were just like, hey, yeah, you just got knocked out, so now we're just gonna build this entire match around you getting just dropped on your head repeatedly. And yeah, I thought this was awesome. I thought this was my second favorite match on the show, I would say. Second or third, I'll have to really think about that. But I'm also happy that Yohei won the title. The Emerald Flow Show is a Yohei Defender podcast, and I think we kind of.
I've always kind of liked him too. I mean, he's not like one of my favorites, but he's a guy that like is fun, and
yes,
he is a lot of fun.
Yes, like because he's a bit sloppy, but I think it works in his favor. Like I think if Yohei was like a worker like Chris Daniels, like crisp as Chris Daniels, that just wouldn't work because he's kind of this kind of sleazy small guy. Like you don't expect him to be a crisp worker. Like you expect him to be a little sloppy, but then he's like so good at the things that he's really, really good at. And I hope that he kind of turns some of his haters around in this match to show like, no, he actually can have a really great match if given the opportunity to.
I just want to. So I'm a little distracted right now because I have some breaking news about Naito. So it's nothing like huge, I guess, but Tokyo Sports has put out an interview. If I'm reading this correctly, between my own Japanese and just trying to use the auto translate, it sounds like he is getting that stem cell treatment on his right knee that everybody kind of wants him to get, I feel like. So it says he will undergo surgery on his left eye on May 7th, followed by treatment for his right knee, dedicating this period to physical maintenance before moving on to his, quote, next stage. So basically he said, some people seem to be misunderstanding, but I'm not retiring. I want to take time to properly maintain my body before heading to the next stage. I plan to go through various treatments and get ready for what's next. So he's preparing for stem cells therapy on his right knee. Since I finally have time to rest, I figured I'd treat it properly. Once my eye surgery is over, I'll start stem cell treatment on my right knee right away. I know it won't be fully healed, but I've heard it should help a lot with mobility and pain. And then Naito said he'd like to take it easy at least through the end of May. So he says the uncontrollable charisma is now entering a much-needed period of recovery. When he continues essentials, he prepares for his next chapter of his journey. So yeah, it sounds like he's going to be out for at least a little while, and then I guess whatever he's going to do next is because I think it is going to be interesting to mention when we get to the main event because I think he could factor into Noah's future plans. As I'm going to bring when we get to the main event. I'll talk about that. But yeah, it does sound like. I mean, they only said through the end of May he'll definitely be out, but based on what they say, I mean, eye surgery and like knee surgery, the stem cell treatment, it wouldn't surprise me if he misses like a couple months,
Yeah.
at least. So I guess we'll see. But it would be great if he had more mobility in his knee, obviously. So hopefully, like being off the road at New Japan and not working all these tours and everything and having time to do these treatments, can improve his physical condition, and we can see some better matches from him in the future. But,
fingers crossed. I would love for him to be much healthier so we can see a bit more of him.
So yeah. Just saw that breaking news thing because I had the Tokyo Sports guy set to notify me when he tweets. So I haven't seen that as he tweeted that out. That was Okamoto, obviously. Yeah. Okay, so the junior title match, we just went over that. The post match for the junior title match. So Tadasuke came back out. He ruined the big moment for Yohei when he was about to speak after his first junior title win. He just lays him out with the junior title belt before he could even say anything. What I was kind of thinking, my thoughts went this right away, speaking of Naito, this was almost like a much smaller scale version of what Kenta did to Naito at the Tokyo Dome in 2020.
Right.
So doing that on the same show when Kenta is the main eventing is just kind of funny. So I just thought that was just kind of a funny little connection there.
Yeah, and even more so because Tadasuke and Yohei were like tag partners for like a really long time.
Yeah, they were both in hotels together. So
exactly.
And we'll see how that junior title match goes. It should be. I'm looking forward to that one. The next match, the special tag team match, Jun Akiyama making his return to Noah after a while, right? I should have looked this up. But when was his last appearance? Let's say.
Do you count? Actually, it's not that long because he's been on some limit break shows, if you count those.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's true. If we don't count limit break, he was on a bunch of limit break shows in 2024. If we don't count limit break, his last appearance in Noah would have been
the Cyber fight.
Yeah, not counting Cyber Fight Festival either, because it was a joint show. His last appearance in Noah proper would have been 2021. So February 2021 of the Budokan, when he and Marufuji lost to Kaito Kiyomiya and Yoshiki Inamura. So there you go. This appearance here, Akiyama and Sugera beat Tetsuya Endo and Owada-san. Akiyama pinned Endo in 1649 with the Stardust Dust Alpha. So when I started my notes, I put "big mystery who takes the pin here." Shows what you know, John. It was Endo who took the pin here. But yeah, so Owada-san, he got like this brief Owada chant when he tagged in, which I thought was cool. I mean, the crowd loves Team 2000X in general and really seems to have taken to him and obviously Ozawa. There was this really cool moment too where Owada was rubbing Jun's bald head against the ropes, like when they're at him against the rope with a break. It was pretty funny, but it made Jun immediately kill him by sending him into the guardrails on the outside like as hard as possible. And yeah, this match was awesome. Basically, Akiyama, the whole story here was Endo, coming to Noah from DDT, where they had been teaming up together as in the Burning Stable in DDT, and immediately turning heel. So Akiyama was kind of here just to punish his former protege and just beat the shit out of him. Punished him for his crimes, and they had this awesome exploder suplex exchange where they were just trading exploders back and forth and no selling them before Akiyama finally put him away at the Stardust Dust Alpha. So yeah, just a very awesome match here. I went 4 stars flat on it. Very much enjoyed it, and I wouldn't say it's over delivered or anything, but it definitely delivered. How about that's what I would say. What did you think of this one, Will?
I'm a huge fan of Takashi Sugiura, so I was really happy to be able to see him again. And I also left this match being a bit of a fan of Owada-san. This is my first time seeing him, and I really liked his heel character. It was very, very entertaining, which would be something I would come back to by the end of the show. And I was able to follow the story along pretty well. Like I've definitely heard of Tetsuya Endo, but just like DDT is and all of that is a huge blind spot for me. So I only know him by name and not by reputation. But yeah, I thought this was really good. It heated up towards the end, and I got a kick out of it.
Paul, what do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also thought this was really good. Like, again, it's between this one and the junior title match for me for like second best match on the show. I'm kind of curious where they're gonna go from here with Endo, because like they were very heavily teasing that he might turn face soon. Like, I mean, he just turned heel like 3 months ago, but I guess, like, spoilers, like, if this whole like OZAWA reign is gonna continue, I guess you need someone like Endo to like challenge as well. So we'll see if that's like a route that they're gonna end up going down in the future. Otherwise, yeah, for Owada, he's again one of like, this is one of the first times ever that Noah is actually like in a really good position when it comes to young guys, and he's one of them, where he is one of those guys that is just very obviously going to be someone, like, he's very obviously, I think he's just at that level in Noah where he can be like a believable like heavyweight star as well. So I think that's what he's going to be. There were some rumors floating around that he might go on excursion, which would be a little weird since he's already in a faction. Like, he's technically still a young boy, I guess.
Yeah, he's like their
But
young boy, I guess.
yeah, so but I haven't seen anything since then if he is actually going to go or not. But if he is, I mean, look, send him over here, because Ozawa like got really massively over when he like worked in Berlin and everything, and I think it's one of the areas where he really like found his charisma as well. So, send him to Europe.
The semi-main event, Kaito Kiyomiya defeating Naomichi Marufuji in 16:57 with the elbow drop. This wasn't bad or anything, but I was like gentleman's 3 on it. I just didn't like click with me or anything. I mean, look, Marufuji in 2025, it is what it is. I mean, he's like, he only tries so hard, and maybe that's as hard as he can try. I just felt it was very paint by numbers. Had a cool, like, a few cool spots. There was like Marufuji getting aggressive, like closing the fence gate on Kaito's head at ringside. The second rope emerald flosion from Kaito was really cool. But like, just when I thought that's when I thought the match was picking up, and then Kaito just dropped the elbow on him right after and pinned him. So I was like, oh, okay. But just not a ton here to sink your teeth into. And we're going to talk more about Kaito after the main event, of course. But I just say he did not feel like a huge star here, and I feel like his in ring isn't like it's bad now or anything. I mean, he's still going to rank when we're doing the 30 under 30 right now in Voice of Wrestling. He's still going to rank for me, but like, I do feel like it's dropped off a little bit from his peak. I mean, it feels like, I don't know if it's like a lack of motivation for him or something, but besides the Osawa match, which I went for like 4.25 on, I can't really remember the last, that was at the very start of the year. I can't remember the last like standout Kaito performance or anything. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree as well. Like, this match was a pretty big disappointment for me. Just kind of was a whole lot of nothing. Was kind of dry, just worked pretty slowly. And the other thing is, like, I think Marufuji, he's not what he used to be, but he generally can still like turn it on when he's called on for like a big match, which this was, and this just didn't deliver. And I think I mentioned this in a Discord, like, I think yesterday. Like, my problem with Kaito, especially right now, is that we still don't really know who Kaito Kiyomiya actually is as a wrestler. Like, because all he's really been doing so far in his career is like emulate other guys. Like, he was emulating Misawa early in his career, and then during the feud, while he was feuding with Muto, he like pivoted to doing all of this like Muto inspired stuff. And I think at this point, like I think it's time we need to see who Kaito Kiyomiya actually is. Like he's just, I think he's still the most like naturally gifted professional wrestler I've ever seen. But I think he has been stalling out over like the last year and a half. And I think he needs something. I don't know if it's a heel turn. I don't know if heel Kaito would really work, just because of like how he naturally kind of tends to like trend towards like working from underneath, which wouldn't really work if he's a heel. But he needs something. He needs some sort of character change, some sort of edge, because whatever he's doing right now just isn't working. And that was noticeable after the main event as well, when he came out to challenge and he got booed by the crowd. Like he needs something, and I hope that like they'll do some sort of character change with him, where like maybe he gets a bit more of an edge, like whatever that will actually be. And hopefully maybe like changes up his in-ring style, maybe actually gets like his own finisher or something for once as well. And then that maybe is finally the thing that makes it click, because it would just be a shame if this guy just never becomes like the level of star that I think he could be.
I'm glad to hear you guys talk about this match and Kaito this way, because I watched this and it was really surprisingly boring. Like it wasn't terrible or anything. I also went 3 on it, but like I know Marufuji fairly well, but also the glory days of Marufuji, so I was trying not to kid myself. And Kaito I've seen a bunch of times, and Paul, I'm really glad to hear you kind of sum him up that way, because I feel like every time I see him, it's just like he is in some respects the guy, but he's never felt like the guy to me, the casual Noah enjoyer. And I don't know whether that's just his presentation or the matches he's put into or what. Like I also like don't know what I would fix to kind of try and get him there, but yeah, definitely wasn't feeling this match hardly at all.
Yeah, I mean, just not a great performance here, and probably affected how the crowd reacted in the main event. So
yeah, the crowd was like
so
surprisingly dead for a lot of this. Like I thought that maybe the crowd would help it a little bit, but they were also felt like they were rather quiet.
Well, they were ready for the main, I think, because they were very hot for this next match. The GHC heavyweight title, Ozawa defeating Kenta in 26:45 with the Phoenix Splash. That's, of course, the Real Rebel. That's his 4th title defense. Before I get into the match itself, I have a little rant about this. I don't really understand why people there were a bunch of people I saw kind of saying Kenta should win this and Kenta is gonna win this. I don't really understand the rush to take the GHC title off of a guy who's drawing for you. I mean, Noah is doing the best numbers at Korakuen Hall this year of any promotion. They are basically selling it out every single time, which I'm sure Paul can tell you they were not doing that before this year. I mean, they were putting like 1,100 in, right? I believe like
they were struggling to even hit like 1,000 sometimes.
Yeah, I mean they were like I remember seeing like an M1 show that did like 800 or something last year, I think, at Korakuen. I mean, they were not doing well at all. So this guy is hot. He's drawing crowds. The shows are doing well. If you listen to the fucking crowd when you're watching the show, he's the most over guy in the company. I mean, yes, he's a heel, but like he is very, very popular. And long term, having a heel be that popular can create issues. I get all that too, but like, it's fucking 4 months into his reign, his first reign as champion. He's like, why the rush to take the belt off him? I do not get at all. It's like there are still guys he can defend this title against. I mean, I know the Noah roster is not the deepest, around, but just off the top of my head, you could do Takashi Sugiura. You could do Kaito again, which is what they're doing. You could do, You could do Kano. They haven't done a Kano title match yet. You could do Oka Sasaki. You could fucking do Kazuki Fujita. You could build him up in 2 seconds for a fucking title match against Ozawa. I mean, there's a lot of options still. You could turn Endo, which it seems like, as Paul mentioned, it seems like they're probably going to do. I mean, there are plenty of options to take this guy through the rest of the year. So why people were in such a fucking rush to get this belt off this guy? I understand the Kenta run is cool and like the Kenta nostalgia has been fun, and he was good here, and this match was awesome, as we're going to get to. But like, I just don't really get why people seem to be in such a rush to end a title reign that's drawing this well after 4 months. That's a little weird to me.
I can I just real quick, because I was one of the people that was saying that Kenta should win the title here. So from my perspective was less, it needs to be taken off of Ozawa now. Like, one of my arguments for that was, well, in terms of Ozawa, one of my arguments was like, well, you made a star and you didn't burn off any money matches, because for me the money really is in like an Ozawa face reign, which, I mean, that's gonna happen eventually one way or another, right? But I think even less so than that, I think even more importantly than that, for me, was the fact, if you wanted to do a Kenta title reign, you needed to do it right now. Like, because Kenta's body, like, it's just shot to shit. Like, it's not gonna get any better than it is right now. So if you wanted to do like a title reign with him, where like he can still have like good matches while he's motivated, which he is right now, like, now was the right time to do that, because you wouldn't, like, you made Ozawa already, right? Like, he wouldn't have been hurt by losing the title here. So
I don't know if I agree, actually.
I don't know, like, because he drew all of that money, like,
But doesn't it feel fast from losing? It felt fast to me. Like, that's what I kept coming back to. It feels quick to me to take the belt off him this quick.
I mean, but like, I think it's a good comparison, because I think Naito lost his belt that quick. Didn't Naito even lose it even faster?
Yeah, he lost it faster, and I hated that too at the time. I was so pissed about that. I mean, look, I am not one that holds up the Naito booking as like some genius fucking move that they definitely should have done. Like, I think he probably should have had the title some point between losing it to back to Okada that quick in 2016 and winning it in 2020. But anyway,
yeah, no, I think that was more my thing, where it was like, put it on Kenta, because he kind of can only do that now. Like, I don't think you can still put the title on Kenta. Like, just with the way his body is, I don't know if he's still gonna be able to like have a good reign next year, So I don't necessarily disagree with keeping it on Ozawa. I just thought if you wanted to do the Kenta reign, you had to do it now.
Who says you need a Kenta reign now?
I think it would have just been a nice nostalgia thing, really. Because you have this guy, he was like the true, like, him and Marufuji are like the first like Noah True. Like, they're not technically Noah True Bones, because they both technically they're both technically All Japan Dojo trainees. Yeah. But like, I mean, let's be real, they are the first Noah True Borns, right?
Yeah. So, but like, Noah's been doing nostalgia for years. Like, they finally have a hot young guy. Why not just like say screw nostalgia?
Yes, I would normally disagree with it, but like, I think it's different with Kenta, because he was also gone for so long.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, he was gone for so long, and he had that like shitty New Japan run, which in hindsight it's really obvious was only a paycheck for him, and he didn't really give a shit. And now he's back, and he feels like Kenta again as well. I think that's the other thing. So I think it would have just been a nice thing to be like, okay, let's do one more go around, and then I think I actually would have been fine if he had, like, I think he should have like lost it back to like Ozawa. Like, actually, I think you could have maybe dragged this out, and you may have been able to like run this match back at the New Year's show, basically, where Ozawa then comes back and beats him at the New Year's show.
There might be another reason why they kept telling.
Yes, that might be the reason why they didn't do that.
So,
yes.
So here's everything I want to say. So, but the other thing about the decision to keep the title on Ozawa, to me, the way the crowd reacted during this match only reaffirmed me as I'm watching it that Ozawa should win. Because so the match starts, and there's other stuff I want to talk about too. I just mentioned this one spot. So Kenta, he gets loudly booed for repeatedly breaking up Osawa's breakdancing early on. And like, you know, he did his own little hilariously bad dancing, which was kind of funny, and then he hits this like very brutal looking standing double foot stomp. But yeah, the crowd did not like him. The crowd wanted Ozawa. I mean, there were some Kenta chants later, but like this crowd, Kenta winning the title here was not going to be a babyface pop. I don't think that was going to be a. They might have even booed him because this crowd loved Ozawa. Like pretty much all the Noah crowds have loved Ozawa all year long so far. So yeah, I don't know. Like the way the crowd reacted to me only made it even more obvious that they should have kept the belt on Ozawa. So I don't know. That's just my opinion on that. Before the match started, by the way, Chono got a full entrance, which once Chono came out, I was like, okay, maybe Ozawa is winning because you know, that it did feel like he was there to put up Ozawa. By the way, a P Diddy N-word drop intro hits a little different in 2025. So I don't know, Mr. Chono, you might want to. I don't know if you could keep it up with world events, but you might want to. The N-word thing by itself is already a little weird at this point, but it being P Diddy, you might want to drop that. Just his theme song is still iconic, though. I will say, like it's one of the all-time best theme songs, in my opinion. Speaking of theme songs, not a good new theme song for Kenta. So he was teasing that he's going to have a new theme song here. I did not like it. It was like way too chill, way too low-key sounding. I don't know if either of you have a theme song opinion, but I did not like Kenta's theme song at all. Theme song.
Oh. No, I mean, no. It kind of washed over me. To be honest with you, I'm only familiar with a couple of Kenta's Noah themes, and I was like, oh, it's none of the ones I'm familiar with. It's just a new one. Okay.
The one he was using before this that he also used, I guess, right before he left was pretty good, and his New Japan theme was awesome too. I think this one was done by the same person who did his New Japan theme, which made it even more confusing than me because that song is awesome. That New Japan theme. I mean, I get it's like probably too heelish for him now, but that New Japan theme song he had, that like instrumental that's like I'm not doing it right, but it's great. It's a great theme song. You can even if you don't remember, you can find on Apple Music actually. But yeah, so his new theme fucking sucks. I don't know why it's like so bad. The match itself, you know, they start with Kenta, like I already mentioned the breakdancing thing that went on a little while at the start. Kenta, he almost gets attacked by Team 2000X on the outside. He kind of looks them off. At this point, I was wondering, I'm like, sir, you spent like 6 years in Bullet Club. You had to have known what they were going to do. Why didn't you bring out Oka and Kano, you know, your two teammates for backup here? Like, it's so weird they didn't bring them out with them to start with. But the referee does kick Owada-san and Yoshitatsu out. Kenta, unfortunately, again, kind of playing dumb babyface, turns his back to Ozawa for like an hour, waving goodbye to them like an idiot, so he gets jumped from behind. That was not a very smart spot. But after that, the match really picks up. Ozawa puts Kenta in a paradise lock in the ropes so he can finally do the breakdancing spot. That was so fucking funny. I was laughing my ass off at like 5 a.m. where he's like, you know what, motherfucker? I am breakdancing. You are not stopping me. So I'm going to put you in the goddamn paradise lock to do it. That was really funny. Great payoff for that. And then, of course, he boogered him. Picked that booger out of his nose and put it up his Kenta's nose or whatever. The action at that point picks up a lot. Kenta big boots Ozawa right off the apron through a table that Ozawa had previously set up himself at ringside. He had to go to sleep, but Daga returns at that point and pulls the ref out. He and Jack Morris beat up Kenta. Kano and Oka finally come out to make the save, but then Kano accidentally kicks Kenta, but kind of missed him, so that didn't look great. Everyone ended up down at that point. Ozawa countered charging Kenta with his own Bushiyaku knee. That was awesome. Then his second Bushiyaku knee. That only got a 2 count. But then Kenta came back, and so Ozawa does that like really over-the-top spinning kick where he kind of leaps into midair and spins over and over again. And Kenta just countered it by punching him right in the fucking face, which that looked awesome. He's like, you don't want to spin around forever, asshole? I'm going to just punch you in the face. That looked great. Just one of my favorite spots in the entire match, honestly. Probably my favorite spot in the match. But then Ozawa eventually puts Kenta away anyway with the Phoenix Splash relatively cleanly after everything that happened. I thought this was awesome. I went 4 1/4 on it. just enough little stuff wrong with it that I couldn't quite get to like 4.5-star level, but just a really, really cool match. I always really dig Ozawa. I think he has that charisma that you just like cannot take your eyes off of, and just he's one of the best young wrestlers in wrestling right now for me. He has like a very I mentioned this before, obviously a very like Naito-esque vibe, which he kind of feels like almost Naito crossed with like a fucking Yakuza character or something like Majima. So I'm really into that vibe and really into everything he's doing there. And I think his in ring, he sometimes like lets the out of the ring stuff maybe overpower the in ring, and he does all the heel interference and stuff. So he's not like a work rate machine or anything, but everything he does looks really cool. So I feel like the in ring will get there for him, especially maybe when he if he eventually does turn babyface. So I'm not really worried about that, and he has that amazing charisma that you just really can't teach, which is probably the hardest part for a wrestler. Before we get into all the post-match stuff, Will, what did you think of the match itself here?
This was my first time seeing an Ozawa match. I've been aware of him for a little while and how he's the new big thing in Noah, to say the least. And I was impressed. I actually really liked his whole performance here. I thought it was a lot of fun, very entertaining. Heel, obviously, but the crowds love him, as you guys were talking about, and I could definitely see why. He's too entertaining to deny in that way. So I definitely will be seeking out more of him, especially if he gets some more interesting main events down the road. I also want to I'll just have my little pedestrian take whenever I watch a Noah match or show. After a while, I'm just like, damn, this production is really, really good. Like the whole show looks terrific.
It's the only one I like better than New Japan's, honestly.
Yeah. I think Noah would be my vote for like my favorite production and production values in wrestling. And I loved the James Bond themed VTR they did before. I just thought that was
I totally forgot about that. That was so awesome.
I thought that was very kooky in a fun way. And again, like they did a great job. When I first started watching pro wrestling and didn't really know anybody's character, it was the VTRs that really got me into it, and I felt like I knew enough about what Ozawa was all about from this in order to have something going into the match, and then the match took me the rest of the way, and this was my favorite match of the night.
What did you think of the match, Paul?
Mm-hmm. No, I kind of can just agree with what the both of you have said already about this match. I thought this was awesome. This was clearly like the best match on the show. I would say it's kind of weird to call it like a coming out party for like Ozawa when he's like, I think he's already a star and everything, but I think now he also showed it, like, because he sold out all of those Hurricanes, now he showed it that he can do it in like a big building as well against like a big star, right? Like where it's like, it's one thing to like show that you have charisma against if you're facing off against like Masaki Tamiya. I think it's another thing to like not get overpowered by like the like older, more established star like Kenta, and he really didn't get overshadowed at all. Like he really held his own the entire way through the entire feud as well that they've been having like since they like announced the title match and everything as well, where Ozawa just throughout it all has just been this like shithead basically that was teasing Kenta about the fact that he got injured in that shitty match with Tanahashi. If you remember that like god awful like plunder match they had at that Wrestle Kingdom 1 year.
Yeah. 2022, I think.
Yeah, well, like it. I think if that match never happens, I don't think Tanahashi is retiring next year.
Yeah,
I will be quite honest.
Yeah.
I hate that match so much. But yeah, so I really loved it. I thought it was awesome. He just like he's him. Like he's the guy. Like he's going to be. Yeah, I don't know what really his ceiling is, to be quite honest. Like I think finally Noah has that guy. Like he's that guy that they've been looking for the past like 25 years, as insane as that sounds, right? Because that's really what like they've been trying to do ever since the promotion was created. Like literally like their mission statement, like since their first show was like trying to find that next star, and they've just never really been able to do it. But I think they might finally have him, and
Yeah, the
that's
closest they ever got was what, like Akiyama?
yeah, Akiyama. They tried with Akiyama, but I don't think that ever really fully worked.
Yeah.
Well, the problem was, well, okay, with Akiyama, the reason it never fully worked, and same with Kenta and Marufuji, was because Misawa was still there. And it was always the thing of like, well, they're not as good as Misawa. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit, they aren't as good as like the greatest wrestler to like ever live. You know? So I think now they finally like have somebody here that they can go with. And
yeah, I mean, Akiyama
I also need
worked out as like a great antagonist to like Misawa and Kobashi, but he never felt like a protagonist of his own. Yeah,
exactly. Whereas I think when Ozawa turns face, I think he can be the guy that can carry the promotion as like the top baby face as well. I think Joe has actually said that like he considers that Ozawa is actually the top baby face and the top heel already at the same time.
I mean, that's how the crowd reacts to him.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, the post-match, Kaito comes in. He gets booed out of the motherfucking building. I mean, you have never... This was, like, worse than Shota Umino gets booed. I mean, like...
See, that's why I was saying he was cosplaying as Misawa, then he was cosplaying as Muto, now he's cosplaying as Shota Umino.
Oh, my God. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are being brutal to this guy. Because they were booing him so fucking loud. Even though they had to comment on him. Ozawa was like, oh, being booed is great, actually. I thought it was funny. But yeah, so the title match is happening. The rematch between the two of them is happening only 12 days from now. So it'll be May 18th at Korakuen Hall. That makes me think Kaito's not winning, by the way. But I could be wrong. I mean, if they could just be like, LOL, Kaito wins, and then
I really hope he isn't.
All the stuff I said about they should keep the title Ozawa. I mean, look, if Ozawa is losing to Kaito, I take back everything I said. They should have gone with Kenta instead, because that'd be so fucking stupid if they go with Kaito here. Go back to Kaito here. If Ozawa is retaining, which I think he is, because I don't know why they would go to the match so quick and do it at Korakuen if Kaito's winning. If Ozawa is retaining, it makes me wonder two things. So this is where Naito comes into play here, because I wonder if, let's say they have a verbal deal with Naito, okay? There's rumors going around. Fightful reported it. Fightful said that it's believed that Naito's next play will be coming to Noah. I've seen there was like one of these Japanese blogs, like the Smart blogs, basically hinted at and said that Noah is his destination. If he's going to be like a freelancer, it obviously makes sense that he would come into Noah at least part-time, because where else is he going to go besides, just freelancing in New Japan, maybe occasionally. Like it would make total sense, because Noah is one of the only places that can pay him. And there's a really natural match here with Ozawa, because again, Ozawa has a heavy Naito influence, and it would be a first-time ever match. It'd be a young huge star against an old huge star. I mean, it's such a natural match to do. So if you have a verbal deal with Naito, if you have a deal with Naito and it's like Naito's telling you, I'm going to go get my knee fixed, I'm going to get my eye fixed again for the 10,000 fucking time, and I'm going to come in, later, maybe after the N1, I'm going to come in. That could be perfect. Then if I was booking and I had that deal, there is no fucking chance I want Ozawa losing this title before January, because I'm keeping this title on Ozawa. I'm keeping this title on Ozawa for a full year, and I'm building to Ozawa versus Naito January 1st, January 2nd, whatever day they do. I'm putting that as like the biggest possible match I can do. GHC title, the champion Ozawa, who's our young star, who's had this belt for a year, versus Tetsuya Naito, who very clearly influenced Ozawa, and they very clearly have a lot in common. I mean, that match fucking sells itself. Ozawa defending the title against Naito after a year. That is the biggest match they could do. There's no reason to mess with it and have Ozawa drop the title and win it back. Just have Ozawa keep the belt the entire year and book that match. I'm not saying dropping the belt and winning it back will kill the match or anything, but I don't see any reason to do it personally when you can go in with that added hook of he's been champion for a full year. He won this belt last year at this show, and now he has to face Naito at this show. I think that's a great hook, and you're going to have a great opportunity to draw from all the traveling fans, both domestic and internationally, who obviously are going to know Tetsuya Naito, and a lot of them are going to know Ozawa now too after the year he's having. So that is a great chance to do like one of their biggest crowds probably in years. If they book it, depending on where they book it and whatever, if they do the Budokan again or whatever they decide to do, they could do Ariake again. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's a great opportunity to do a huge crowd if you do if they do have that deal with Naito, if he is coming in, at least part time. I do think that's I would love to know basically if Kenta was supposed to win this originally and they changed it after they got a deal with Naito, because that wouldn't surprise me, honestly. Any final thoughts on any of this, either of you, before we move
on? Nothing. Like I will say this. I thought this was a really good sign for Noah overall.
It was a great vibe show. Like the
exactly.
Show had a great vibe. Yeah. Like even above the match quality, and there were some really good matches of the show too. It was a really good vibe show. Like I had a lot of fun watching it.
Yeah, like if you just compare like what the vibes in Noah have been like.
Oh yeah.
For like the past 2 years, like this is like night and day basically.
Yeah, like Ozawa being so over and being such a huge star is really just rejuvenating the promotion. Any final thoughts, Will, before we move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for giving me a reason to like watch this. It was also my first time interacting with Wrestle Universe as a stream, so like I think that was really, really good. I love the layout over there, and yeah, no, I was very pleased to sit down and watch this in 2 sittings. But yeah, those were 2 good settings, and I had a fairly good time with it.
I should mention too, by the way, I don't think I mentioned this. The same show, the May 18th Korakuen, also has Yohei versus Tadasuke for the junior title. So kind of a big Korakuen there. So we'll see. I mean, I expect them to do another great number. So we'll see. I mean, I sort of assuming they haven't lost their mind and Kaito's not winning, I understand loading up this Korakuen because you're doing a Korakuen only about 3 weeks after a huge Tokyo show. You don't want to put a card together where people are like, I can skip this one. I just saw a big Noah show. So I guess that's probably the idea, just to keep the momentum going and, try to draw another Korakuen sellout when, a lesser card maybe would have a hard time doing that with, you'd think so many of the Tokyo fans just saw a big Noah show. So that is Noah talk. Let's move over to New Japan now. We have 2 shows to go through, so we'll be a little quicker on the undercard. I want to briefly mention the 2 earlier big shows on the tour. The first one was the Wrestling Red Show in Hiroshima on April 26th. It was mostly undercard tags, but there were 2 matches worth mentioning. The semifinal was Taichi and Tomohiro Ishii beating Tetsuya Naito and Hiromu Takahashi. Taichi pinning Naito in 1936 with Black Mephisto. Big finish, obviously, having Taichi pin Naito clean. That match was fucking awesome. I mean, the second best match of the entire tour, probably. I went 4.5 stars on it. Just if people skip this show because it didn't look that big and didn't see this match, highly, highly recommend it. I mean, these are 4 wrestlers that I really love, so it wouldn't surprise me if I'm a little higher on this than some other people. But, they really all did an amazing job working around Naito's limitations. And Naito didn't botch anything or anything when he was in there, and he, did the best he could. But Hiromu worked so hard to make up for, what Naito's limitations are now. And Taichi and Ishii are still just awesome workers. And they put together a really awesome match that had that added emotion of it being Naito's last night in Hiroshima is kind of home away from home because he's such a huge Kart fan as a New Japan regular at least. So definitely a cool, awesome match. I think, Will, you said you saw this, right? Did you have any?
I have to apologize because it was when you were describing that tag match that I was like, oh no, I think I meant to watch that because of your recommendation, and then I didn't. So I've been writing stuff down this whole time, and I'm going to write that down as well. So to just go back and watch that tag match. So no, I didn't see this one. I saw the one following it.
The main event was Great-O-Khan and Callum Newman winning the IWGP tag titles. They had to Callum and Cobb had to vacate when WWE pulled Jeff Cobb. Boy, did it make sense they pulled him for the Dontaku tour because he's doing so much in World Wrestling Entertainment. Oh, wait, he hasn't debuted yet, even though Dontaku's over. So they pulled him for no reason because they're pieces of shit. Who could have guessed? But
if I had $1 every time WWE has pulled the tag champion of a Japanese company and then not use them, I would have had $2 this year already.
That Omos one still pisses me off to think about it.
It's
And
so
I wasn't even
what?
watching Noah at the time. I was just like, that's not fucking fair.
Yeah, like what the fuck is the deal? It's so weird. But yeah, so Callum pinned Yoshihashi here. It was Callum and Okan beating Bishamon to win the title back in 1601 with the Prince's Curse. It's apparently the name of that move. Okay. This match was good. It was like 3.5. It wasn't anything special. Nothing you got to go out of your way to see if you missed it. But good main event. The other show that happened with a couple major matches, or three actually notable matches on this show, was the Wrestling Hizen no Kuni in Saga, which is a city on Kyushu Island. So that's because that's where Fukuoka is. So they're like a little Kyushu tour. The New Japan World TV title match was El Phantasmo winning back the title from Great Okan in 11:29 with the Thunder Kiss 86. No idea what the point of this Okan title reign was. I mean, he won the belt via count out at Sakura Genesis and then lost it right back to El Phantasmo cleanly here, which kind of made old Okan look like a dork here. So I don't really know what the point of that was, but not again 3.25 star match, nothing you need to go out of your way to see either. But the two junior title matches are really good. So the junior tag title match, Master Wato and Yo defeated Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles. Wato pinning Fujita in 22-23 to win the titles to become the 78th champions. I don't know what. Oh, it was a third attempt at defense for Vegeta and Eagles. A little surprised they took the belts off of the Ichiban Sweet Boys here because they've been such an awesome junior tag team this year in New Japan. This match again was awesome as they've been having throughout their reign. 4.25 star match, and Wato, Wato and Yo, they've been kind of guys who've been lost in the shuffle, but they can still go when they get a chance. Especially Wato, and I guess we'll see now where the team goes from here. But yeah, I would not mind at all seeing the Ichiban Sweet Boys win the belts right back because they've been so good.
Yeah, you're right in that I was also surprised that the team of Wato and Yo amounted to anything. But at the same time, as you say, like especially his run in the Best of Super Juniors really, it didn't so much change my mind on Master Wato, but it did kind of show me what he can do, and turns out that is quite a bit. So I'm happy to kind of keep him in the shuffle. Yo, I'm kind of mild on, but yeah, it was certainly surprising. That makes me think that maybe probably not Robbie Eagles, but maybe Kosei Fujita is going to get some key wins in the Best of the Super Juniors this year, and maybe focus him on singles. I don't know. I'm famously bad at predicting New Japan, so I don't want to say anything too inflexible. But yeah, that of course I was already anticipating Best of the Super Juniors, and maybe we'll see something with regards to Fujita especially. Although, hey, if they want to give Robbie Eagles a strap again, I am all for it. I love Robbie Eagles.
Yeah, Fujita and Eagles, they're in two separate blocks. I was just doing the written Best of Super Junior preview for the Voice Wrestling site with I did A block and J Michael did B, so that should be up pretty soon. For those of you listening to this, not long after we recorded it. And I kind of was like, what if they do a Fujita versus Eagles final? Like, I could see it. That would be really cool. I mean, I think they both have matches in the last night of the block that would make you think they'd be in the running. Mm-hmm. And this year, it's they're not doing the semifinals, so it's just whoever wins the block faced each other. That would be a really cool final. I mean, I could see it.
I'd be way into that.
That would be really cool. The main event for the junior title, El Desperado defeating Templario in 2002 with the Pinche logo to make his 5th defense of the junior title. Again, very good match. Went 4 stars flat on it. Just wanted to quickly highlight it as a match that is worth checking out if you didn't see this show, since again it was a smaller show on the tour. But
I dug this a lot too. I mean, El Desperado is one of my favorite wrestlers.
He's having like a borderline rest of the year level leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm always in favor of these kind of, not that I expect that he'll never get a shot again, but Templario is not usually in the mix for this. So I'm always happy to kind of mix it up. And I think that they mesh together really well. I also really like Templario. So I was pleased with this match, even just on paper, and they managed to deliver, and I liked it a lot.
Okay, so that brings us to the Dontaku shows themselves, which started out with night one from both of these shows from the Fukuoka Convention Center in Fukuoka. This was on Saturday, May 3rd. So this show did 2,903. The night one is always kind of a struggle compared to night two, but like this was actually up from last year. So last year did 2,440. So up like 400 something fans, not bad at all. I think the Naito leaving thing seems like it probably helped them a lot on both shows, because, especially night two, because the night two tickets, I saw a lot of people saying, if you looked on the ticket sites, they were going really quick, like right after they announced Naito and Bushi departing the company. So who knows what they would have drawn for either of these two nights without that, helping them, but that definitely did give them a boost. The kickoff match here was Katsuya Murashima defeating Daiki Nagai in 726 with the Boston Crab. Kind of a normal, basic Young Lion match here. Not a ton to say about it. Just we'll note that Murashima has his knee all wrapped up, so I don't know if he seems to be working through a knee injury right now. But he still did win via Boston Crab. So
I like Daiki Nagai. I would say probably of the current class, he's the one that I have my eye on the closest.
Paul, did you catch the kickoff match? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the kickoff match. I don't really have any notes on it. I haven't really kept up with I keep up with New Japan, but I haven't really kept up with the young boys, to be honest.
Yeah. The undercard tags you can blow right through, so I will quickly give a couple, just the winners and some quick thoughts. The first one was Wato, Yo, Bolton Oleg, and Toru Yano defeating Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Hartley Jackson, and Ryohei Oiwa. Oleg pinned Hartley at 840 with the Kamikaze. There's a pretty neat little exchange with Oleg and Hartley, like kind of tossing each other around right before Oleg put him away at the Kamikaze. So that was easily the highlight of a otherwise very standard undercard tag.
My highlight was Toru Yano's frog shirt. If anybody wants to buy me that, I am a double XL.
Yeah, so there you go. What did you think? Anything, Paul, about to add about this?
No, nothing, to be honest.
The next match was the team of Taichi, Tomohiro Ishii, Yuya Uemura, and Taka Michinoku, defeating the LIJ team of Yota Tsuji, Tetsuya Naito, Hiromu Takahashi, and Bushi. Taichi pinning Bushi in 903 at the Dangerous Backdrop. I'm just going to mention that I'm going to miss Naito and Bushi in these undercard tags a lot. This was a pretty fun one. I went like 3 1/4, and I feel like they first of all, LIJ, which is breaking up completely. If people don't know that, they confirmed that at the end of the tour, is always the best unit for these undercard tags to me, because they just work so well together as a unit. They're always so over. They always have like the best undercard tags. And, Naito, everybody makes fun of T-shirt Naito. He doesn't do a lot in these matches, but he brings like energy to them because he's so over. And Bushi, for a guy who, isn't like great or anything, he works a lot harder in these undercard tags than some of the other like pin eater level people. So I do think not having LIJ in these undercard tags is going to be a little bit of a loss for New Japan. The main story here is Tsuji and Uemura setting up their global title match the next night. Hiromu and Ishii keep teasing something. They keep beating each other up. I have a theory for that I'll get into when we get to the night 2 match, maybe. It's not going to be over Ishii's strong title, I don't think, because Ishii, he's defending it on Resurgence on Friday against Drilla Maloney already. After that, we don't even have another American show booked on the book so far. I don't know when the next one would be. And, Ishii is, they only defend the strong title in overseas now. So I guess it could be like Forbidden Door or something, but that's also pretty far off. And it would be weird to book a New Japan versus New Japan match. I might as well just say my theory now. Why not? Sure. I think they are going to have Hiromu have like one little goodbye in Best of Super Junior, and that'll be it for him as a junior. Or he'll stay a junior and stay like openweight or whatever, and he's going to enter the G1 qualifier tournament, and Ishii versus Hiromu will be a first round match, because that's the very next tour is New Japan Seoul. So if they do the G1 qualifier tournament again, it would be on the New Japan Soul Tour. So I think all these Hiromu Ishii teases they've been doing all tour is for a first round match in the G1 qualifier. That's my theory.
I feel like I've been waiting for years for Hiromu to finally move up to heavyweight. So I'd like, if not now, then when? So yeah, I agree that I think it's time to either shift up or just stay where you are, maybe forever. And that's I mean, that sounds like a great way to do it for me. That scenario you put out there, John.
Thank you.
I'd watch that.
Paul, any thoughts on this before I move on?
I just want to see a tag title reign for from the Taichi Ishii team.
They are the next challengers. I hope to God they. I don't think they will win, but I hope to God they do, because that would be so awesome.
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, it's New Japan, right? So like, it's kind of a bit of a, I don't know, I guess, like there aren't really great chance of that ever happening, but I feel like if you have like that tag team, and then you have like the potential of the return of Youngblood pretty soon as well, where it's like, hey, maybe New Japan will actually have like a good heavyweight tag team division for once, but also it's New Japan and they've never really had one, so I don't know. But at least there's maybe a chance there now.
I liked Bushi's yellow gear with the red hearts.
Yeah, that was in tribute to some singer, I think, or actor.
Okay.
I saw who it was in tribute to, and now I totally lost it. But
okay, it seemed very distinctive. So it being tribute gear actually makes a lot of sense.
The third match on the show is the hype match for the world title match the next night. Goto, Yoshihashi, and Taguchi beating Callum Newman, Great O'Khan, and Jacob Austin Young. Yoshihashi beating JAY in 10:43. 2.5-star match. Very average match. The worst of the undercard tags. I will say Taguchi having his own stick to match Bishamon was pretty funny, because they both have those, those ceremonial sticks, and Taguchi's had a very plain stick. I will say Goto and Callum showed a little fire together at the very start, with like Callum like demanding Goto to chop him up against the ropes. As it turned out, they would end up having a pretty awesome match the next night, so maybe that was like the first sign. But yeah, like this match though was not very much of anything.
I did like Taguchi was my highlight of this match. I liked his little hanger-on plushies that he has on his gear for his entrance. And I thought his comedy spots with Great O'Khan were funny. So that was what I took away from that.
Paul, I guess you don't have much to add about this, do you?
No, just a pretty unmemorable like undercard tag that, quite honestly, I'm struggling to recall anything that happened in it.
Match 4, the New Japan World TV title, El Phantasmo versus Konosuke Takeshita. This went to a 15-minute draw. Basically, they added this match when they had originally been scheduled for a Never title match on Resurgence, which is still happening. They also added this TV title match. I feel like the 15-minute draw finish kind of was a giveaway. I don't know what, so it's kind of like, why'd you even bother doing it? But the funniest thing about this match to me, so Chris Charlton, I think everybody knows about what happened to him at the start of the year, where he got in trouble with AEW, let's just say, with his commentary during Wrestle Dynasty. And Rocky Romero, famously an AEW executive, and there's all this stuff like Rocky may have been telling him it right at the ringside to cut it out. And so Chris, now that Rocky has turned heel and joined the Callis family, Chris really got his licks in on Rocky Romero on the show on commentary, calling him the King of Stooge style, called him a rat, and he can say this plausibly in kayfabe, of course. And Walker Stewart even like cheekily slipped in a line about how Rocky came for your job, which I thought was fucking amazing. And Chris like very quickly after that switched to talking like pure kayfabe about the Callis family. But I was like, there might have been some real venom there. I think there might have been some real venom there from Chris Charlton. And they got to play it on the square here now that Rocky's a heel in the Callis family with Takeshita. The match, it was good. I went 3.5 on it. It kind of was a little too slow for me in the middle for a match that only went 15 minutes. I thought it slowed down a bit in the middle with Takeshita kind of whipping ELP back and forth in the corners and like standing on his stomach and stuff. So I didn't love it or anything. And again, the finish was super predictable with, how it was booked. But yeah, good but not great. Nowhere near their G1 match in Cork from last year. I guess we'll see what they can do in California on Friday at Resurgence. Paul, what did you think of this television championship match?
Yeah, I have to say I'm never really a big fan of time limit draws, to be honest.
I was going to say Hirooki Takeshi. I'm like, whoa, hot take, Paul.
Yeah. So I was like, I hate Takeshita. That's obviously the thing. No, I mean, I thought it was a good match overall, but like, there's just only so high I can go on like time limit draws, and this was a good time limit draw. But at the end of the day, I was just like, I just don't like when like I just give me a decisive finish. Like, even if I disagree with the finish, even if I think like maybe you shouldn't have booked it that way, I will always like appreciate that over you being like, we couldn't really decide like on a finish here, so we're just gonna give you a time limit draw.
What do you think, Will?
All right, I guess I'm the high man on this. This was my favorite match of the show.
Wow.
I really liked this, and more so than I was expecting. Like, I like Takeshita, as most people do. Not a huge fan of ELP. You know, I don't dislike him or anything, but he's kind of depends on who he's in there with. I really like the 15-minute time limit for the TV title matches. I'm always in favor of taking less time, especially when New Japan matches can sometimes be a little bit long in the tooth. So I am always interested to see how they make the most of this time limit. I hear what you guys are saying about the time limit draw. I'm generally fine with them. You know, it's kind of a case-by-case basis for me. This one worked for me okay, and to be honest with you, I was like, I guess I got really into it because by the end of it, I was really hoping that Takeshita would win, just because I wanted to see him, just like, how do they book him with 2 belts? Let him win the belts, and let's see how they what they do with that. But I thought that they worked really well together. The closing minutes felt like a real scramble. I always appreciate when they're able to add the element of desperation without actually being desperate and making mistakes and stuff like that. In fact, Takeshita had this great catch on the Blue Thunder Bomb where like he almost dropped ELP, but he made it just enough to get it. That really impressed me. And I left the match being like, I just didn't expect it to be for me to like it that much. And yeah, I went 4 stars on it. I really, really liked it.
Well, there you go. Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. was next. Zack beat Tanahashi in 13:07 with the Zack driver. This was not a good match. I went 3.5 on this one as well. They were limited by what they could do compared to some of their past matches, both, Tanahashi's condition and also they just didn't have a ton of time. But, it was good while it lasted. Tana spent some time working over Zack's leg, did some grounded dragon screws and stuff. But Zack eventually, catches a Tanahashi running in and then hits the Zack driver on him, but he can't go to the cover, selling his knee from all the legwork he did. So that all made sense. Tana then tried for the high fly flow. Zack gets his knees up. He turns the counter. He counters it into a triangle. That was a pretty cool spot. Tana then very slowly turned it into a clover leaf. He can't keep it on though. Zack counters back in the triangle. Tana countered and rolled him up out of it in a nice little bit of mat wrestling. And that leads into a fun little exchange of flash pin attempts. But Zack eventually puts him out with a sleeper and then gets another Zack driver, and that gets the pin. Again, it had that feeling of some of the previous matches played back at half speed, that can happen with a Tana match in 2025, but it was still a good match. So, 3.5 star match. I enjoyed it. Will, what did you think of Tana and Zack here?
I agree with you, 3.5 stars. It had that one more for the road appeal that a lot of Tanahashi's retirement matches have, of just here's one more with one of his bigger rivals from the last few years. And yeah, it was certainly not up to the best they've ever had, but it was just nice to see one more time. I know that some people, their mileage can vary on Chris Charlton as a commentator. I really like him because I often end up learning things from him. And in this match, he talked about the difference between a butcher's grip and a label grip, and I learned what both of those were, and I was really appreciative of that. He also had a great line about Tanahashi trying to get his hands on Zack, and he said something to the effect of trying to, get Zach into a hold is like trying to cram a snake into a bag. And I thought that was an excellent use of imagery. Good match. Not their best, obviously, but just nice to see one more time.
What do you think, Paul?
No, I agree with that as well. I think out of all of these like Tanahashi retirement tours, this was probably one of the better ones. It's obviously very limited what Tanahashi can do at this point in his career, but I think putting him in with someone like Zach who like keeps it a bit more on the ground, I think actually works on Tanahashi's like favor at this point. So yeah, they kept it nice. They didn't overstay their welcome either. So just it was good. It was exactly what the match should have been.
Up next, we had Shingo Takagi defeating Shota Umino in 1507 with Last of the Dragon. I like this a lot. I seem to be the high person on it, just judging by what I saw from other people. And also, like, Cage Match has it like it's 7.54, which would be like 3 3/4. I was like 4 1/4 on this. I thought it was really awesome. I love when Shingo gets like all aggressive as he's been throughout this entire tour. You know, he grabbed the chair at ringside. He immediately like tossed it at Shota's head right before the bell. And it was like, it feels like this is like the most fired up Shingo has been in forever. I don't know if it's just, well, first of all, part of it is fucking Shota Umino using that goddamn monkey emoji on Twitter. I feel like because he's been like on a warpath on the. If people don't know about that story, just Google like Dragon Gate monkey incident or something if you really want to read a really shitty story from a long time ago that Shota Umino should not have brought back up, but he did. So you can just feel like Shingo probably hates this fucking punk. So I'm sure that's part of it too. But it also makes me wonder if like he's getting ready for a big. I mean, he knows he's getting a big push, as we're going to get to when we get to night 2, and I wonder if he's going to go heel or something coming off of LIJ breaking up. So we'll have to wait and see for that. But yeah, I mean, Shingo, he looks more aggressive than he has in a while, which I really like. I thought Shingo just beat his ass at the start of this match, even though Shota missed the actual chair shot. They had some really good, like crisp work in this match. Some nice looking suplexes, some hard lariats. Shingo did one of his biggest pumping bombers ever for a near fall, and then put him away clean with the Last of the Dragon. This match, I like the old school, like Puro vibe to it, just like a very, lariat suplex heavy match. Shota's nose got all blooded up at the end too, which was a great visual. He had this weird looking smile as he left. The Shota thing is like, it's so weird right now because I think his in-ring work is as good as it's ever been probably. Like, I really like that he's shifted away from, what we were talking about with Kaito before, where he was, Shota was doing like all these overly complex fucking tributes to other wrestlers, and he's dropped all of that. Now he's just doing lariats, he's doing suplexes, he's doing like an old school like Puro moveset, and it's really working for him. The problem is he comes off like a mid-carder now. Like, he does not have main event level charisma in this role. If he ever did, there was a time like G1 2023 I've talked about in the show before where I felt like he was really clicking as like a main event level guy, and now he feels as far away from that as ever. But what he was doing before wasn't working either. So maybe this is what he has to do, is like be more of a straight ahead Puro guy for now. I just don't see him as a main eventer in that persona. I mean, he doesn't have like the aggressiveness of a Shingo to even like get to like level that Shingo's reached doing this kind of thing, I think. So he's a weird guy to critique right now. I love this match, but I think it was more because of Shingo than Shota. And Shota, really, I don't know if he's going to hit like a main event level doing this act, even though his in-ring is better doing this kind of moveset. What did you think of this match, Paul?
I thought it was good, not a great match. I think it kind of a little bit over delivered for me because I'm just kind of not very high on Shota Umino right now. I will say, like, I kind of agree that like the current in-ring style, I think, is working a little better for him right now. But I think like him, for example, him bringing up the whole like monkey story, right? I think that's just a perfect example of like that, like this guy just shouldn't be a face. Like, I don't think he should like be like in House of Torture or something, but like it's just not believable when he's like doing a baby face act, because he just doesn't seem like a nice person. I think he's just kind of an asshole. It's just
It's a
the
good way to
truth of
put
it.
it.
I think
Yeah.
he's just an asshole. Like, he's a punk kid. Like, I think that's kind of, I think, why this match actually kind of worked for me. He's just a punk kid. And sometimes the punk kid, like, goes too far or pisses off the wrong guy, so he gets his teeth knocked in. And that's kind of what happened here. But, like, that's still not what his character is supposed to be, though. And I think that's still the disconnect that exists with Shota Umino, is just like the promotion in him should just embrace that he's just kind of a punk kid that, like, pisses off the wrong guy and then he gets his teeth knocked in. Like, I think that's the perfect role for him, but who knows if New Japan will relent and finally allow themselves to, like, move on from, like, Shota needs to be the next ace.
I feel like they're already sort of moving on from that, but I could be wrong. But he feels as far away from that as ever. So I don't know. Maybe they just don't want. Maybe he just doesn't want to be a heel. Maybe his dad doesn't want to be a heel. But he does not feel like a future ace at this point. Will, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, my feelings on Shota, I feel maybe colored the match to its detriment. Like, this is one that I actually think I'll go back and watch again. I still had it at like 3 3/4. Like, I still thought it was quite good, but I feel like there were higher opinions of this that I wasn't really seeing, and maybe I was paying the wrong kind of attention because I was like, ugh, Shota. I also I need to get over kind of my apathy towards him and start watching the matches for what they are instead of trying to view them in this way that, as Shota Umino is this like failing prospect. But what I did see, what I was paying attention for certainly was that it was, stiff the whole way. They started hot, and I really appreciated that. And I only wish, like, obviously I don't want wrestlers to be really injured, but man, I wish that nosebleed had happened earlier in the match, not like right when it was over, because I feel like that would have really woken me up a little bit more. Because right at the end, it's just like he blasts the dragon, you see that gigantic nosebleed. I was like, oh shit. So yeah, no, I still thought it was quite good. I think I'll go back and try watching it again and see if I'm perhaps a little higher on it than the first time.
The main event, the second dog pound cage match that also was Loser Leaves Bullet Club. The War Dogs defeat the House of Torture. So it was David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, Clark Connors, and Taiji Ishimori beating Evil, Narita, Sanada, Sho, and Kanemaru on paper, because Gato also very much got involved with the War Dogs, and Dick Togo and Yujiro also very much got involved for House of Torture. This match went 26-17, Gabe pinning Narita with the Drilla Hole pile driver. I thought this was a lot better than the dog pound cage match last year. I mean, the one last year was a bigger spectacle, but it dragged on so fucking long. And, in part because they did the thing where they did War Game style, where one guy would come in, another guy would come in. Here, they smartly just had all 5 guys from both teams start right away, which I thought was a way better choice. The match just, like, had a great energy right from the start. Just this crazy fucking brawl. Finlay, he locked the cage door before the match even started. Then all the War Dogs had climbed up over the cage and, like, posed up there for their introductions, which is just a really cool visual. Maybe, like, the most aimless part of it was right at the start, where they just kind of did a walk and brawl. But then when Gabe starts beating Narita's ass in the ring, the crowd is just super fucking into it. They love Gabe Kidd, as pretty much all New Japan crowds do, honestly. People start getting in the ring more. Everything's going at a much faster pace. Everybody starts bleeding. Drilla is the first one to bleed, I believe, the first one to bleed via one of the forks that he brought in the ring himself. Very high energy at that point. Togo, from the outside of the cage, ends up throwing powder at Finlay through the cage. I thought was just a really funny visual. He climbs over the top of it. He goes to give Finlay a senton off the cage, but then Gato climbs up the other side. Crowd loved this, by the way. You've never heard a crowd got a bigger pop for Gato. I think they actually started chanting for him. He slams Togo off the top of the cage. This huge, like, shit-eating grin on his face. The tail doesn't even break. But he just, he does the splash, the superfly splash through off the cage to the table. The table does not even break, not the best splash or anything, and the crowd chants for Gato anyway. Yujiro then comes in next, and then Evil gets Fidley's shillelagh and snaps it in half and starts cutting him open with the broken shillelagh. That was a really cool visual too. Drilla finally gets his revenge on Sonata for turning on him back at Sakura Genesis. He cracks him in the head with the guitar in the ring, which again, they had built that up all tour long with Drilla kept going after Sonata and Sonata not being able to get his hands on him. Narita gives Narita gives Ren. So I guess it's actually Gabe King gives Narita a fucking top rope pile driver through the barbed wire table that he brought in the ring earlier, and that is the pin. Again, not quite as memorable or insane as last year's where they did all that crazy stuff and people almost died and all that, but a better as a pro wrestling match. So I went 4.5 stars on this. Incredible match. I thought about putting it in my top 10, honestly. And I will note it has a cage match rating of 8.46, so not that far below what I have it as. And I actually like it. I actually like House of Torture, and most people hate them, especially Cage Match fucking hates them. So for Cage Match to give this 8.46, like a 4, basically implying a 4.25, I can't even remember the last time anything involving a House of Torture member got that high of a rating. So it must have been great for Cage Match to give a House of Torture match 8.46. The match, by the way, afterwards, Evil started hanging Finley on the cage before he left. So I think we're getting some kind of dog collar match between those two at Dominion to, I guess, really wrap things up. But there you go. What did you guys think of this? I guess we'll start with you on this one, Will.
This is the match that I was least looking forward to talking about on this podcast because I was like, oh, John really liked it. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't. I think I've seen a lot of praise for this, and I will say that you compared this to the last Bullet Club cage match. I appreciate that it was not as long as that one, so very thankful for that. They kept that actually at a pretty respectable length. And it's not to say that this was I don't think this was unsalvageable. I don't think this was even bad. It's more of just it's in the area of it's not for me. There were really cool things that they did. I appreciated a lot of the violence. I thought Gabe looked great when he was covered in blood, and to say nothing of Ren Narita's heroic blade job. I thought that was incredible just to see, especially
Narita, he was covered in blood.
It was crazy. I couldn't believe that he was able to do that. I forget which English commentator it was who said "get his ass, Gato," but that popped to me. I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I just think that the pace of this kind of fucked me up a little. I just found myself getting a bit bored with it from time to time, despite the violence. I think the other thing is that one of my favorite matches of this year so far is the Jun Kasai El Desperado Takeda match from Crazy Fest. And now that's some motherfucking violence. That's my shit. And not to say that, not all violence is created equal. So I don't want to say that this was bad in comparison, but I just kind of had that in my mind of this is cool, but it wasn't getting me there as much as something like the Crazy Fest match was. And it really came down to vibes for me. I'm pleased that I actually didn't know that Cage Match had it so highly rated, and I don't want to be the type of person, especially who is the yet another knee-jerk House of Torture hater, especially because you are somebody who is a lot slower to judgment on them, John, and I'm trying to kind of take them in their context. I think especially since we're getting into Best of Super Juniors, every year it's just all right, Sho gets one chance, and if his match sucks, then I'm not watching any of his matches. But especially with you kind of bringing up their role in the company, I am trying to be a bit fairer and just trying to understand them in a different context than perhaps I did without that knowledge. And I don't think there was nothing about this match that actively made it bad, other than I felt that it still kind of dragged on, but it just really wasn't for me. The one other positive thing I will say is that I'm the type of horrendous pedant who is like, so are the House of Torture in the Bullet Club or not? Can we clean up this goddamn Wikipedia page? And now we finally can say, no, they are not. And I'm like, great. Now get Bullet Club, now get the Bang Bang Gang out of there, get Fale's gang out of there, and then it'll be this wonderful, pristine Wikipedia page of all the members who are in New Japan.
I mean, that T-shirt, by the way, I need to get that T-shirt because that House of Torture is real Bullet Club. The one thing no one can tell me is that House of Torture is bad T-shirts because they have the best T-shirts. Probably all pro wrestling.
That's true. They do have good merch.
They're always bangers. But yeah, I gotta get that shirt now. Now it's even bigger collector's item.
Absolutely. And anyway, I don't want to, as my former podcasting partner would say, yuck anybody's yum that they like this. Clearly you're in the majority, but it was not really for me.
Well, Paul, what did you think? Are you with me or are you with Will on this one?
I'm with you, John. Actually, I've also thought this was awesome. I think probably the guy I walked away with like most impressed was actually Ren Narita.
I was hoping you were going to say that because I thought he had like his best performance in New Japan for it. Actually, well, the Gabe Kid New Japan Cup first round match was also really good. So he's had a couple.
That was really surprising.
Yeah, he's had a couple good performances lately, but he's really coming to his own, I think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with on that one. Like it's really funny that they started him off as this guy who was like emulating, like Katsuyori Shibata, and he was going to be the guy that like is for clean wrestling. It turns out, no. He needs to be a deathmatch scummer. That's his actual, like, that is his future. That's what he needs to be. So, no. I think we finally found, like, what Ren Narita should be. And it's a guy that just, like, bleeds everywhere and just has these kinds of, like, bloody brawls. And, like, send him to Big Japan. Please.
That's interesting you say that because, like, among many things, it's like I was very, very cranky when Sho went into House of Torture because I really liked him as kind of the straight up wrestler, and so I was like, oh, now he's doing all the cheating stuff. And it was the same with like I'm like probably one of 10 people who liked Son of Strong Style, and I was like, no, now he's gonna be cheating. But if they turned into Ren Narita as deathmatch wrestler, then it was worth it, and I was wrong. Like, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we'll see if they do that, but like I think that's what he needs to do. He needs to like get booked on like Taka Taichi Manias against like Jun Kasai or something. Now that's actually what I want to see now.
That'd be awesome.
Any other thoughts on the match, Paul, before we move on to night 2?
No, I thought the match was excellent overall. I thought you couldn't have done it much better than this. Like if I compare it, I think I like this more than I like, for example, the match last year. Mm-hmm. If you remember, the match last year that they had in the same building, at the same show. Sorry, got distracted by something. I thought the one thing I would have done differently maybe is I would have given it at least like a millisecond of like breathing room.
Oh yeah.
Between like the finish of the match and like setting up the dark color match, because it's basically the bell rings and then the next thing we see is like they cut to like Evil. They cut to like Evil hanging David Finlay from the cage and like, okay, could have maybe given this like 30 seconds.
No, I get it. But yeah, good show overall. I mean, not like anything you need to, anything you're going to put in a fucking best. I mean, the Dontaku shows, because they're both basically half a show, they always suffer from those undercard tags. You're not going to put this in like your best show, major show award or whatever. But it was a good, the stuff at the end delivered. So good show. Yeah. Dontaku Night 2, the next night, was May 4th, also from the Fukuoka Convention Center. So this crowd was 5,407, up from 4,238 last year, 4,049 in 2023. It's the highest since they did in Fukuoka, since they did 8,162 at the Fukuoka Dome in 2022. That was for a Naito versus Okada main event. In this building, it's the highest since 2019, when they did 6,105 for Okada versus Sanada in the main. They said it was a sellout, even though it was only 5,407. So I suspect it could be another case. We've seen various Japanese buildings capacities drop after COVID, because it's only 700 less than or less than 700 less than it was in 2019, which I believe was also a sellout at the time for the Okada Sonata one. So it just could be a thing where they just put less people in the building, you know. So that we have seen that at various Japanese venues. But yeah, pretty clear to me that this was largely drawn by it being Naito and Bushi's last show. I mean, the crowd was so into that match, as we'll get to when we get to it. And the tickets moved very quickly when when that announcement was made. Would have been interesting to see what could have drawn if they hadn't had that announcement. But the fact that you can now say Callum Newman is a bigger draw than John Moxley last year is kind of fucking funny. So there you go. The opener, the kickoff match, was Ryusuke Taguchi and Katsuya Morishima defeating Jet Way and Hitamaru Sasaki. Taguchi beating Way in 9:07 with the Oh My and Gar ankle. Always one of my favorite move names. So we had a lot of Kyushu Pro Wrestling participation on this show. This was the first bit of it here. So Kyushu Pro, for people who don't know, it's a low-level independent that's actually started drawing some pretty decent crowds in Kyushu. I mean, they don't ever run outside of Kyushu, and Paul, do they even make tape? I feel like they don't, right? They never...
No, they do. They have a YouTube. Like, it's all on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. It's just me then. I guess I never watched them. Do you ever watch them? I guess I might as well ask you.
No, I actually do keep track of them. I think they're kind of unique. I think they're actually doing something that I feel like maybe other indie promotions are gonna like emulate a bit more now as well, because they actually draw pretty big crowds. Yeah, like they actually if you actually would rank them, they probably wouldn't be like that far down the depth chart, to be honest.
Yeah, like their last big show did 2,576 in Fukuoka.
Exactly. So the reason they're actually able to do that is because their tickets are dirt cheap. And they even have like special deals, I think, where like a lot of times like children get in for free. And how they're able to do that is because they're actually like designated as like, I think, like a local like cultural promotion agency by the Japanese government. So they basically get like the ticket prices are like subsidized by the government.
Right.
And like there's one guy specifically that I want to talk about when we get to his match for like Kyushu Pro, but like their stuff is all on YouTube. Like I think it's not the greatest wrestling, I will say, like, but it's generally very, very solid. Like Shuji Ishikawa, I don't actually know what the outcome of the last title match was. I need to double check that. But like Shuji Ishikawa either is or was very recently champion.
Yeah, he
Tajiri is the booker.
He retained against somebody named Kodai Nozaki.
Yes, Kodai. Yeah, okay, so he did actually in that match. Okay, so he retained against Kodai Nozaki. Yeah, and Tajiri is the booker.
He booked himself to win the tag titles in the last show, by the way.
Yes, yes, he did.
Don't Matsumoto work that show? Wow. But yeah, just interesting promotion. I mean, they were talking about in the air. It kind of has like a through line to Osaka Pro with like some of the people. So like that kind of makes sense. I mean, again, a very regional promotion that never really ran outside of its region. And Fukuoka is, I mean, Kyushu Pro is the same thing where they just they never like Michinoku Pro does run in Korakuen Hall. I think once a year, maybe, or maybe even twice a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to there. I know they run a Korakuen at least once a year because I've been to a Korakuen show for that.
Worst Korakuen show I ever went to.
It was pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, we were both at that show, and that show was pretty horrible. But like, I'm looking at Kyushu Pro's history, and it doesn't look like they ever run outside of Fukuoka, out of Kyushu. So
that might be the deal that they have for like to get government funding. Basically, it's like no, you run in Kyushu only.
Yeah, because it's like you never see them outside of Kyushu. It looks like. But yeah, so that is their promotion that you're going to hear about throughout the show. I just wanted to mention them a little bit here. So Sasaki, he's been wrestling since. God, what did I put down here? He's been wrestling since 2003 actually. So he started all the way back in DDT in 2003. Interestingly, he's a shoot style guy and now ended up with Kyushu Pro. Wei comes from Puzzle in Taiwan, which New Japan had people from Puzzle show up, and Noah, I remember recently had a guy from Puzzle in their junior tag league. Wasn't this guy, right? Was it? Was it Jet Way?
I think it was Jet Way.
Oh, it was Jet Way. Okay.
I think so. I'm not 100%.
Let's we might as well just double check. I can check this real quick. No, it wasn't. He was not in the
Okay.
squad. Yeah, so I don't know who the fuck it was. Because yeah, that name did not sound familiar to me. That's why I did watch most of that tournament. So I was like, all right, let's just see. I'm curious now. Noah Junior Tag League 2025. It was a guy by the name of
Gaia Hawk. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. I completely blanked. Yeah, no, it was Gaia Hawk. Sorry. He literally just had a he literally just had a junior tag title match on Noah.
Yeah, so Gaia Hawks Gaia Hawks is a puzzle guy who went to Freedoms, and this guy is a puzzle guy who went to Kyushu because he's been there since 2023. So there you go. But yeah, it's a lot of words about a match that went 9 minutes in the pre-show. But yeah. I don't know. Do you want to add anything, Paul, before we move on? I mean,
no.
Or God, anything we want to add about this? Will?
The only thing I'll say is that I always appreciate when New Japan brings in guys from other promotions, smaller promotions, to these preliminary tags. Just as somebody, I just enjoy seeing people I don't know and getting to see different parts of the Japanese wrestling landscape. And this same here. Like, I wouldn't say any of these preliminary tags are all that great or anything, but it was still cool to just see new people and the potential to see what they're all about.
The opener of the main show was Taiji Ishimori and Gato beating Baten Bura Bura and Mentai Kid. Ishimori pinning Bura Bura in 6-1 with the Gato clutch. Bura Bura, again, 2 more Kyushu Pro guys. Bura Bura started in the Tokyo area in 2009, but he's been with Kyushu since 2014. Mentai Kid got his start in Toryumon, Mexico. So he's a Toryumon guy all the way back in 2003. His name back then was Manabu Katagami. But he has like a weird 5-year absence on Cage Match. I don't know if he was doing stuff like so low level in Mexico or Japan that didn't show up on Cage Match, or if he actually was in action for 5 years. But he then reemerges in Kyushu as Mentai Kid in 2008. And as they mentioned on the broadcast, he's going to retire next week. So this was probably a little goodbye to him, basically, a little have a good little career buddy that got to appear on this show. Pretty basic match. It was kind of funny to see Gato and Ishimori as heels again because they were huge baby faces the night before in the cage match. And then Gato doing Bura Bura's strut elbow as a strut fist drop was kind of funny. But other than that, 2.5 star basic tag match.
What is Batten's gimmick? I couldn't really.
Well, so the X is Bura. Basically, it's do not do. So they kind of explain this on the broadcast, but basically you'll see people in Japan will throw up the X, which he kept throwing up throughout that, especially when they're trying to talk to a foreigner who doesn't speak Japanese and they don't speak English. They'll throw up the X as do not do this. Okay. So basically, I think that's the whole thing of his gimmick is he's throwing up the X as you're not allowed to do this.
Okay.
I think I'm not an expert on this by any stretch, but that's the vibe I got.
You immediately know more than I do about this by knowing anything at all, so I appreciate it.
Anything you want to add about this, Paul?
Yes. So Mentai Kid, if you have so this goes back to Kyushu Pro being on YouTube. If you have not seen a Mentai Kid entrance, especially recently, with after he announced his retirement, you need to go and look at one of those Mentai Kid matches on YouTube. Because that stuff is insane. This guy, for the kids in Kyushu, this guy is a god. They put these flower it's I don't know if it's the same thing. It's the thing they have in Hawaii, I don't remember what it's called, the flower gimmick.
Oh, the
that
lays?
They put around your neck.
The lays?
Yeah, exactly. So they apparently have something like this in Kyushu as well. I don't know if they have, but that's basically what they're doing with these Mentai Kid entrances, where all of these kids are at ringside and they put the necklaces around his neck, and it's there's an entrance where basically it's it looks like it's actually there's actually no room left. It's basically stacked all the way to the top of his head. It's just these necklaces and everything. It's insane. You need to go and watch that.
Match number 2, Master Wato and Yoshihashi defeating Jacob Austin Young and Great Khan. Wato pinning JAY at 8:46 with the Su Tenkaku German. Gentleman's 3, totally fine. Nothing else to say about it. If anyone has anything to say about this 8:45 tag match.
There,
Nope.
so there's a Simpsons joke in the episode where Homer is trying to make more inventions than Thomas Edison, where they're at the Thomas Edison Museum, and the museum curator who is leading a tour is like, now normally we don't let people behind this rope, and today will be no different. And Walker Stewart had a very similar line when he was talking about Jacob Austin Young, when he was like, Jacob Austin Young has not been in a Best of Super Juniors, and he will not be this year.
The funny thing is, he could get in if Dragon Dia's injury is severe enough.
Right. But
I don't know who the fuck else they're gonna get on that short notice.
And he was saying it in maybe he's going to try to get in next year, but it was also just like, he will not be in the he has never been in one and will continue to not be. And I just thought it was really funny.
Match number 3 was your Stardom Showcase. So Fukuoka Triple Crazy, the normal Fukuoka Double Crazy team of Hazuki and Koguma, and their partner also from Fukuoka, Maika, defeated Starlight Kid, Azumi, and Yuna Mizumori. Yuna also kind of a hometown person. I mean, she's from Kumamoto, but much closer to her hometown than she normally is. Since Kumamoto's also on Kyushu Island. But she took the pin here, though, because Starlight Kid and Azumi are not taking the pin in this stupid tag. But yeah, Hazuki pinned Yuna in 9:15 with the vertical brainbuster. This was one of Maika's last matches before her long-term injury absence. Her final match was just today, actually, May 6th, on the Stardom Golden Week Kyushu tour. So she basically worked her hometown. That was also Fukuoka, and then called it quits for the year to go get her elbow surgery. It was cool too because Stardom was in the area. They had their normal ring announcer, Yoritaka was there. Their head ref, Daichi Murayama, was there. So it just kind of gave you that vibe. But yeah, Gentlewoman's 3 match, a little sloppy at times, but energetic and fun while it lasted, I thought. Any thoughts on this Stardom Showcase?
No, not for me.
I mean, it was good. These matches are really just there, right, to promote Stardom and be like, hey, look at we also have this other promotion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They should probably do it more often, if anything, but it's hard because Stardom does their own tour so much. So, I mean, Stardom is probably the second most active promotion in Japan at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, they run so many fucking shows.
I mean, to be fair, but given recent drawing records of Stardom, do they even really still need it?
That's true. I mean, they just did 7,500 people to All-Star Grand Queendom. Match number 4, ELP and Oleg Bolton defeating Konosuke Takeshita and Rocky Romero. Oleg defeating Rocky in 8:05 at the Kamikaze. I'm blasting through these because we've already gone pretty long, and these are just undercard tags anyway. But I will mention Chris continued his pew pew on Rocky. There was one point where Walker said, I don't remember what the fuck Walker said, but Chris was like, "Oh, if you believe Rocky on that, he has some NFTs to sell you." I was like, okay, just pew pewing on Rocky Romero here. But yeah, Night of the Gentleman's 3s continue because this was totally fine. Really, not anything else here. If anyone wants to.
I'll just say that, especially with Jeff Cobb having left, and also just Jeff Cobb being older, Bolton Oleg is my new guy in terms of just being a huge guy who can do crazy lifts and is pretty decently good, and hopefully will continue to improve. I just really, really enjoy him. Also, I missed them naming this. Did they say that ELP's trainer was on commentary with them?
Aaron Idol. He's a Canadian indie guy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think he had ELP had him there. I think because it was his. I think this is his 6th-year anniversary or 7th-year anniversary of debuting. He debuted at Dontaku. I don't remember if it was 2018 or 2019.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that's why he had him there. Yeah. I didn't honestly think it was interesting enough to mention, but it was. I just kind of noticed. I like ELP.
I just noticed a third English guy, and they were and him saying something about training him. I was like, oh, I missed the name.
I missed the name at first too, honestly. And then, but once they said his trainer, I was like, oh yeah, I think that's Aaron Idol. So I remember that was his trainer. Anything you want to add, Paul?
Yeah, no, nothing really. Especially looking at the clock, because I don't have anything additional to say.
Tanahashi, Toru Yano, Yo, Chikusen, Ryota, and Tajiri defeating Zack Sabre Jr., Ryohei Oiwa, Robbie Eagles, Kosei Fujita, and Hartley Jackson. Tana pinning Jackson in 10:22 with the high fly flow. It's kind of fucking funny that a guy as big as Hartley Jackson is like a pin eater. It's just something I've always thought of. Like, he looks huge, and he looks like he should be able to kill you, and he gets pinned every match. It's just kind of fucking funny.
Could be third member of Muscle Orchestra.
Yeah. 2 3/4 star match here. So 52-year-old Chikuzan, he started all the way back in 1998 with AAA. He spent a long time with Kaintai Dojo in the 2000s. Actually, that's where I remember him from, because I did watch. I was a big enough nerd that I watched Kaintai Dojo in the 2000s. Not like all the time, but I did like watch them during their. They had like I think that was their weird era where they had like they copied WWE and did a roster split. Like, one of them was called like Get, and one of them was called like Rave or something. I don't know, but it's been a long time since I've watched any of that stuff. But I did remember him from that. He jumped to Kyushu Pro at some point in, I think, 2012 or something. 54-year-old Tajiri. I don't need to introduce him really, but he's been with Kyushu Pro since he left All Japan at the start of 2023 during that whole shakeup. Like Paul mentioned earlier, he's booking Kyushu Pro now, which I did not even know, actually. Charlton mentioned this on the air, but this was his first time in New Japan since November 2010, so a long fucking time between New Japan appearances for Tajiri.
I wish I would have loved 15 to 20 minutes of just Tajiri and Zach. I thought that was great.
Yeah, they did some really great mat wrestling. I did have a note on that. That was by far the highlight. I was getting a little sick of undercard multi-mans by this point, though. So, you know. Anything else you want to add before we move on to one more of them? Because, yeah, this show had 6 of them. Jesus Christ.
There was so many undercard tags. It was a bit overkill.
The last one, though, at least was notable because it was Naito and Bushi's last match as New Japan regulars. So Shingo, Naito, Hiromu, and Bushi defeated Shota Umino, Tomohiro Ishii, Taichi, and Taka Michinoku. Shingo pinned Taka in 10:05 with the Burning Dragon. This I went 3.5 on. Like, this match, you know, the video package beforehand made me like a little emotional. It was just an amazing video package that covered the entire history of Naito and his company and forming LIJ and joining up Bushi, joining up with him and everything. And Naito gets this fucking thunderous reaction when he comes out. You know, Bushi got a great reaction too when he was introduced, which was great to see. And then the actual match was good too. You know, Ishii and Hiromu continued their great exchanges. They were just beating the shit out of each other with their chops and forearms. And, you know, LIJ worked great together as always. They always do these multi-man tags. There was this like whole fucking sequence at the end that was like pure fire where Naito hits a Destiny on Taichi. Bushi does a huge dive to the outside. And then Shingo pins Taka with the Last of the Dragon. I don't know why the fuck the website put Burning Dragon. Hey, Chris, it's Last of the Dragon, not Burning Dragon. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, look, this was I had a lot of fun this 10 minutes. I'm gonna miss LIJ. They're the greatest fucking wrestling unit in history. I will not even hear an argument about that. I mean, they made so many guys' careers besides Naito. I mean, you know, they brought in a guy like Shingo into the company to have a great run. You know, Romu as a junior, even like Sanada and Evil getting them launched into other units and, you know, getting years out of all that. I mean, you know, just a great fucking unit. The most popular unit probably in New Japan history, and just sold more merchandise than you can ever fucking put together. So, you know, just if you've if you're listening to this, you've never been to a New Japan show in the last 10 years, which I assume is most of you. There's honestly even more people in the crowd in LIJ merch than it looks on TV. I mean, especially at their peak, probably 90% of the crowd was just people in LIJ shirts. I mean, just incredible how much of the crowd was wearing LIJ shit. So, you know, when they were talking about how Naito doesn't sell as much as he used to, I'm like, yeah, because he's already sold like 10 t-shirts to every fan in the fucking country. Like, how many more LIJ shirts can they buy at this point? But yeah, I mean, just really good match. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm gonna miss LIJ. Any thoughts on this, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, as you've already said, like, Naito is one of the biggest legends, like, in the history of New Japan, really. It's kind of weird. Like, it still doesn't feel real that he's actually leaving. Like, even if he comes back every once in a while as like a freelancer, right? Like, it's never going to be the same again.
Yeah.
Like, even if he comes back,
which I think he will, but yeah, like, it's not. He's never going to be a roster guy again, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And like it's like the New Japan peak, right? Like was built around like Okada, Naito, and Tanahashi. And like it's already weird that like Tanahashi is like the last of them that is left. But then it's also like after like January next year, like it's like after the Dome show next year, like all three are gonna be gone. Like it's the era is over already, but like then it's just like the last vestiges really of it like are gone essentially. So yeah, I think it's kind of hard to overstate how much of a momentous change this is for New Japan. I think it's also it takes away the safety net, which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily. Like I think overall it's definitely going to hurt the drawing record. Or I think there's no doubt about that. But it also takes away that safety blanket that they've had and that they've especially relied on last year, where it was like, don't worry, we can just put the title on Naito. You can't do that anymore. Now you have to like do something with one of these young guys. Like you have to pick one of them and push him to the top and make him the champion, because you just don't have another choice anymore. So if I take anything positive from this, it's the fact that like New Japan now finally has to commit to somebody.
Yeah, I mean they're really gonna have to. What do you think, Will?
I wanted to make like we've settled into the rhythm of kind of we give our thoughts in turn, but I especially wanted to lay out just in case, because I knew that this would be, I wanted to hear your thoughts, John, as much as anybody else's.
Yeah, it doesn't feel. I'm not. It wasn't as emotional besides the video package I thought it would be, because I really do not think this is Naito's last night in New Japan. Like I cannot fathom his last night in New Japan being, him walking through a fucking door in Fukuoka. I mean, look, he's been so coy about this, but he after the match, like leading up to this, he gave some quote that made it sound like he'd never be back, which probably helped ticket sales. And then the moment the show was over, backstage he's like, I might be on the next tour. And it's like, wow, like that was his quote. He's like, I might be a freelancer on the next tour. Who knows? Next tour, next year, we'll see. I mean, there's no fucking way. His last New Japan appearance was him in an 8-man tag, 3 matches from the top in Fukuoka, walking through the back door. I mean, that's just not going to happen. So they would have changed, if he actually told New Japan, I'm never coming back, that's it, they would have changed this to Naito versus Tana singles match. They are doing that match again before Tanahashi retires. I don't know if it's going to be in July at the Tokyo Budokan show that's in Naito's backyard that they weirdly took off the schedule and then put right back on. I don't know if it's going to be at the G1 final that's in a humongous building. For all the fuck I know, it could be Tanahashi's retirement match at Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, it could be anywhere, but I firmly believe he's going to be back in New Japan before January 4th, at least once, to do that match. I firmly believe he will be there more than that too, but even more firmly believe he will be there at least once to do that match. So I'm not looking at it like as a big goodbye, because I just don't buy it personally.
Right. Okay. Before I kind of give my quick thoughts, I was kind of I was personally surprised that they didn't do one more LIJ call. Do you think there was a reason for that?
I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to do it, but he only does it when he wins a main event. Okay. Maybe he just was like, I'm not doing it. I didn't win a main event, so I'm not doing it.
Well, clearly we all think that he's, he hasn't run out of chances to do it ever again. So maybe he'll just save that for down the line.
But yeah, to me, like the emotional part of this was more just the confirmation that LIJ is breaking up and like thinking about what an amazing unit they've been in New Japan all this time. I mean, they, like I said, the greatest unit in pro wrestling history for me, at least. I mean, I just don't even really think anything's that close, honestly.
Like I don't think there's many people who love anything as much as it seems you love Naito. So definitely my feelings on Naito much more mixed, especially in the last few years. Like I definitely am more fair weather in terms of like my interest in him kind of peaked with his big title win and then slowly dropped off year after year. So I don't want to pretend that I've been like on his team the whole time, but I agree with you that the VTR before the match did actually get me emotional, because it was such a great summation of like the road that we as fans have had with him. And you don't realize how long it's been and how how many steps there's been in the whole journey until you kind of see it all laid out in front of you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I don't want to see him go now. So they did that really effectively. And yeah, the match itself from an in-ring perspective wasn't, it was, 10-minute 8-man tag match, but it was nice. And yeah, keeping in mind that and given your kind of late breaking news there, it's like he's not retiring, he's not going away forever, certainly not from New Japan. So, but it seemed to be a nice little thing for him and for Bushi.
Yeah, I mean Naito, if he's taking the time off, which he said he's doing, and especially getting these surgeries, I mean, if he can look better in the future, just what a more limited schedule, with time to rest and time to heal, and maybe the stem cell treatment helps his knee a lot because he does have trouble moving around right now. Hopefully we get some better matches from him in the future because yeah, he definitely, even I cannot argue that he's had some rough nights in recent history. So hopefully he can have some better ones going forward after he gets his time off and gets his surgeries and really get. So this isn't, so maybe that story to me even puts over the top of this not being a sad thing. Like this could be a really good thing for him to maybe have some better performances in his whatever time he has left as a pro wrestler. Paul, anything you want to add before we move to the semi-main?
No, nothing right now, because I think the important thing is like to see what does he actually do now, and I don't think any of us, like, I think we all have ideas, but like for now we don't know for sure what's actually going to happen.
The semifinal, a match I was a lot higher on than some other people, I think. Yota Tsuji defeating Yuya Uemura in 23-43 at the Gene Blaster to retain the Global Heavyweight title in his fourth defense. I kind of was a little surprised at the finish. I thought Yuya would get the win here, and they would move Tsuji on to something else. But given what they did after the match, which makes a ton of sense that Tsuji retains. But yeah, this has a 7.77 on Cage Match right now. So again, that would imply somewhere between 3 3/4 and a 4. That's where I've seen a lot of people at, honestly, even like on social media and stuff. I'm like 4 1/4 at this. I thought this was an awesome match. I understand why people haven't rated lower, because the energy at the start felt a little awkward, especially when they were like first starting out, because I assume people are still emotional over the Naito and Bushi goodbye. They kind of had to work through that. The crowd did start a pretty big Yoda chant after the bell, but the match, kind of felt like they were feeling each other out for a little while. They kind of like had a little bit of issue maybe getting the crowd into it to start. But, Yota Tsuji was working over Yuya's arm, which was, obviously the callback to Yuya injuring his arm in their G1 match last year. And they did an even better callback to that with Yuya going for the splash off the top, missing it, and immediately selling his arm, because it's just, first of all, that's exactly how he broke it in the G1 match. And second of all, Tsuji, had worked over it before that. Tsuji goes right into the cross arm breaker off of that. Yuya eventually makes the ropes after that. So just a great sequence there. Yuya keeps trying to chop him after that, but he has like nothing left in that arm. He's selling it really, really, really well, which really made the match for me. He switches to headbutts, but he gets like cracked in the head with a counter elbow by Tsuji when Yuya tries one of the headbutts. Another great spot. Tsuji goes for the Gene Blast, the big spear. Yuya counters with a drop kick to the knee. He hangs onto the leg. He eventually hits a dragon screw. He gets the figure forearm for the second time of the match. Tsuji makes the ropes again. There's another really cool spot where Tsuji hits an enziguri with the other leg to counter a dragon screw, but Yuya falls right into a waist lock on Tsuji, and then picks him up and hits a snap dragon suplex, or snap German suplex, I should say, followed by a dragon suplex. That led to a great near fall. Yuya then hit the high fly flow he tried for earlier. Tsuji just barely kicks out. Yuya's trying to get him in the deadbolt, but Tsuji counters with a stunner. Yuya counters the Gene Blast with his huge arm drag. He finally does get the deadbolt suplex after another long struggle, but he can't get the pin because he's still selling the arm, and that gives Tsuji enough time to pop up, and he finally has enough space between him and Uemura, and he hits the Gene Blast, and he gets the pin to retain. So, again, it started out very slow, but I thought it was a very cerebral match, and some truly great selling by both guys, and I ended up thinking it was really awesome by the end. So again, 4 1/4 for me. I have a feeling I'm probably going to be the high one on this, but Paul, what did you think of Tsuji and Uemura here?
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite as high as you. on this one. I think I prefer the main event over this one, but I still thought it was really, really good. I think these two have like really good chemistry. I thought commentary was kind of hammering on that as well, right? Like that these two have been wrestling like against each other forever as like young boys and everything, and that they're just super familiar with each other. And I think that really came across during the match as well. Just like it's the kind of familiarity. I think they actually have a better match on them. I thought this was really good, but I think they actually have an even better match in them. And I do think this will eventually also just be like a match that we will see for the big belt. Like I actually wouldn't be shocked if like next year Dontaku they're running this match back, but it's Tsuji like defending the world title instead.
Mhm.
So yeah, I am definitely like high on both guys. I think Tsuji to me is the guy that I think eventually like they're gonna push first to the world title
Yeah,
out of
for sure.
everybody. I think Yuya will get there eventually as well, but I think he needs a little bit more seasoning. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he's got the in-ring down. I don't think he has like everything. I think in everything else, I think he's still a bit behind. But like, it's definitely like a really good look. Like, it's definitely, like I said, New Japan has to commit now, and luckily they do have some really good choices to like commit.
What do you think, Will?
Very similar to Paul. I'm not as high as you in this, John, but pretty close. Like I gave this 4 stars. Yeah, I think these guys are
talking about a
obviously
quarter star. Then I mean, we're basically the same rating.
I mean, yeah, I think it's more that like it just got into 4 stars for me, so I did, excuse me, get into the notebook for it. But I think Paul makes a great point in that this was good. I think they do have like something even better in store, which I think is appropriate, because if indeed one day you're going to be having this for the world title, then that's when you want them to have the biggest barn burner that they can. As it is, like the two of them together still work really, really well. Yuya is my favorite of the 3 Musketeers, even though he's the fourth. And then Tsuji would be my second. I'm not as high on Tsuji as some others are, but I still think that there's a lot of upside to him, and he's clearly like ready for the push that he's gotten. So
they're all way ahead of Shota, that's for sure. I mean, look, even Narita is starting to feel ahead of Shota with his fucking bleeding buckets and like finding his like scummy, like I don't know, he feels more I don't know if it's a hot take, but he feels more like in his correct role than Shota does, at least.
He's not getting burned by the spotlight like Shota is, so I think that gives him more freedom to kind of discover himself beyond where they kind of slotted him initially, which I guess didn't really work out for him. And no, like I don't have a whole lot to say. I just think this was a really very good match, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again sometime down the road.
After the match, the rest of LIJ came out again. They did one last group pose together. Tsuji took the mic after Naito and Bushi left the ring and basically just said, LIJ might be over now, but they'll always be ungovernable and they'll always be connected, and sometime they'll be together again. So that was kind of cute, I guess. Then he starts talking about how Uemura is his perfect rival, along with Gabe Kidd, and Kidd just marches right out there as soon as Tsuji's saying, maybe you'll face him again. So Kidd is just like, you never beat me, buddy. And we went to a double knockout in February. That's my match of the year right now, that match between the two of them in Osaka. That was a 5-star match for me. So I am incredibly excited to see them doing it again for Dominion. So, fuck yeah for that. That's a hell of a fucking match to add to put on the Dominion card. So Tsuji versus Gabe Kidd. Cannot wait for that. The main event, the IWGP World Heavyweight title. Hirooki Goto defeated Callum Newman in 24:01 with the GTR Kai. This is where it's my turn to eat some crow here, because I've been hard on Callum. I did say I thought he was very good in the Sakura Genesis tag title match, so I did put him over there and said I thought maybe he was turning a corner, but I guess he did turn a corner, because he was really awesome here, and this match was 4.25. I would put it just below Yota and Yuya, but I mean, for most people, it seems like they like this one better. I mean, it has a 8.29 on Cage Match right now, and it was an awesome match. I mean, they worked really fast, they worked really hard. The only stuff that I would say is like there were moments where like the brief bursts of very fast action kind of felt like you would go from that into like these slower portions, and the slower portions took me out of it a little bit, which is the reason why I didn't go even higher on this. But the fast action parts were really fast. There were some really cool spots here. Callum, I thought, sold his neck pretty well. At one point, he hit a tiger suplex, was unable to keep the bridge. Just some really, really cool sequences that I won't go blow by blow because we've already gone pretty long on this podcast. But, Goto eventually hits the GTR Kai for the win. It was a very natural transition into it too, because Callum was like trying to punch his way out of the GTR, and Goto just like kind of grabbed the arm and just like hooked it behind him. So that was cool. But yeah, some really cool. I mean, the other really cool spot probably was, Newman hitting this like apron Oz cutter that just led to the count out T. So that was probably as good as his Oz cutter has ever looked. But yeah, just an awesome match. A moment where the Callum people can say they told you so if they want to, because they did. He has improved a lot since, he was god awful in last year's G1, in my opinion. I mean, just really, really bad. And here he was awesome. And, he has his little moments still where he looks like a bit of a green guy to me, but I mean, he's young. I mean, that's going to happen. And Goto is just having, the run of a lifetime here. So Goto is, very, very able to cover for that and have an awesome match anyway. So, but I'm not taking anything away from Callum. He's, he's on his way and he's developing well. And I'm expected to have a much better G1 this year than he did last year. Will, what did you think of Goto and Callum?
So Callum is interesting to me because for, in the last couple of years, when he's had little opportunities to kind of make something of himself, he has succeeded, and it's left you being like, oh, I wonder what he would do with a bigger opportunity. And then he did get a bigger opportunity. And like you said, John, like in the G1 or like the New Japan Cup, kind of bricked it. And I was like, oh, okay, well then never mind. I don't have to pay attention to him anymore. So when they were building up to this match, it was like, okay, well, I guess the most I can hope for is that like this match will probably cap at like pretty good. And that's fine. And then it'll be one and done. We'll get it over with. I never, ever expected him to win. And then he and Goto proceeded to have one of my favorite matches of the year. Like, I can't believe how much I love this match. I think it's the construction of it was really, really compelling to me, because there were elements of the build that were like obviously building to the Rainmaker shock and just being like, oh, but what if he could? And I think that's the long-term benefit of something like the Rainmaker shock, is that then you can have these scenarios where it's just like, well, clearly nobody expects Callum Newman to win, but then what if maybe they're crazy, and what if he did? And you can never 100% say that they would never, because they did at one point, and they might again. And I thought that the whole thing of like Callum Newman getting in there, getting his ass kicked for like 80% of the match and sticking it through was the thing to really unlock what that match could be between the two of them, because Goto as the champion has been terrific so far. And this was where he kind of got to throw his weight around a little bit and kind of school this kid. And Callum had to step up and be championship caliber. And it all flowed together in a way that didn't feel unearned, whereas you might have a match with somebody like, say, like Shota's match with Zack at Wrestle Kingdom, where it's just like they go 40 minutes or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, Shota has to look like he can beat him, but then he doesn't. And then it's just like, ugh, it's twice as long as it needs to be. And it just insists upon itself. And in this one, it's like, you believe a little bit more. It's like, first of all, it's like half the length of that match. And then you have Callum, who does some really good, you mentioned the selling of his neck, and just like, I agree. Like, he really looked fucked up throughout this whole thing. And even when he was trying to be the guy against Goto, like when he put his arms behind his back and was like offering up his elbows, like he was crumpling. It reminded me of my favorite match of all time, Okada versus Shibata, where Okada tried to like stand up and like prove how tough he was against Shibata and would just again crumple to the ground. And it's just like Callum, like the story of this match is telling you that's like Callum is not that guy. He is not that guy, but he could have it in him. And I think that is such a cool story to tell. It's almost like an elevated version of a Young Lion match. And that's what I like so much about those, is that you have somebody who is absolutely 100% not going to win. The story isn't, will they win or will they lose? It's, how will they handle getting their ass kicked and losing? And I think that Callum, I feel like probably Goto directed this match really well and emphasized his strengths. You know, I'm still not like the kind of Ospreay Jr. aspects of Callum's game are like not my favorite, but I think he really reined that in here and made it make sense.
Yeah, he looked like his own wrestler. He looked
Yes.
like his own wrestler, which he has not in the past.
Yes, very much so. And I think that, again, Goto is like, I'm so pleased that in being given the ball, he is proving that he should have had it a long, long time ago. And it's like, it's really, not only was the win earlier this year like vindicating for somebody who has been like people who have been longtime fans of his, but now that he has it, like I remember when he first won it, and his like one of his first defenses was against Tanahashi, and I was just like, oh god, they're gonna flip it to Tanahashi, because I just didn't believe that he would have any legs. But my god, he has legs. And this is not my point, but I've seen many people being like, fuck it, let him carry it to the dome. And now I'm thinking like, yeah, like he has done a complete 180, and he no longer feels like a loser. He feels like the champion, and it's matches like this that are making that case. So I thought this was fantastic. I loved it.
Speaking of not feeling like a loser, he set the fucking record here for most defenses of this world title version of the belt, the new one, where he had 5 defenses, because the previous record was only 4. So he's already had that record, which I want to get into that again in more detail. But first, Paul, do you have any thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I kind of have to mirror both of your guys' views, to be honest. I thought this was awesome as well. I really thought Callum kind of came into his own here. As has been mentioned before, I think the thing that really has affected him most negatively have been the constant like Ospreay comparisons, and like it hasn't helped that he has like copied a lot of like Ospreay's moveset as well, because I think just being compared to Will Ospreay is kind of already unfair. I think it's also because it's not necessarily even that he's compared to like what Will Ospreay was when he came into the company. I think he also to some degree was compared to what Will Ospreay was like when he left, which is not the same wrestler really. So I think here he kind of showed that no, he actually does have talent, and he is actually like somebody that I think the company was right trying to push. So, which he hasn't always shown in the past. Like John, you've already talked about how he like wasn't great in the G1 last year. I think for me also like really for me like the nadir was kind of like the New Japan Cup match with Naito. Like that was just
that was
really, really boring. So I think this was like the polar opposite of that. Like I think in the Naito match I called him the Prince of No Pace, because there was just nothing happening. Whereas here, like I think that's still not an ideal name for a guy that like had to quit football because he had knee injuries. So because he's probably not gonna get faster as time goes on as he keeps wrestling.
That's a good point.
So yeah, but otherwise, like I think like if he develops, like I think he can develop a style that will really work for him long term. And if he does that, I think like he could potentially become the top gaijin in the company, which Zach is currently. And again, like he doesn't have to become it now. Like he's still super young. Like I think he can take his time to like get there. And I think more performances like this actually will help, because I think it will help him like get confidence as well. Because I would assume that he's also looking around and he's seeing all of the criticism that is coming his way. And so it definitely feels like if he like gets more performances like this, like I think he will gain more confidence and he will probably become better.
It's very clear he does see it if you look at his subtweets and shit.
Well, I don't know. I don't really.
Ospreay has seen them too. If you look at his tweets.
Fair enough. Like I don't look at Twitter at all anymore.
Yeah,
so
I'm just saying, just for people.
To your point, Paul. It's the key here is that like he had this great match. Now he needs to keep going. Like, this is almost like a proof of concept of like, okay, so he's not worthless. In fact, there is something there, but he has to keep bringing it. Not, they don't all have to be like, 4.5 star, according to me. They don't all have to be at that level, but he has to show like improvement. He has to keep working on basically every aspect of his game, but it's just nice to have something like this to point to and be like, okay, but he is worth investing in. Like, so yeah, the steps after this are going to be key.
They have great opponents at Dominion if they do the match there. If they're going to do, because Taichi and Ishii challenge for the tag titles, I assume it's going to be Dominion. So, I mean, there's really no reason why they can't have a great match there. I mean, Okan is kind of hit or miss, but the other three should be able to do stuff even if Okan is not up to it that night.
Because he needs a guy that can still kind of carry him a little bit, right? Like, and I think if you put him in there with like Ishii and Taichi, who are both excellent workers, I think they can get something going.
After the match, so Zack and Shingo came out. Shingo got a fucking huge. So Zack came out first, and then Shingo came out and interrupted them. He got a fucking huge reaction. He interrupted them, like the crowd was so happy to see him. Shingo, he starts joking because, of course, Goto always brings his kids out with him. He's like, I don't have a belt. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. And now my faction's finished too. And he's like, you're in Hontai, I don't have a faction. Like, Shingo Takagi is so fucking funny when he wants to be. That was so funny. And then he's like, by the way, you always say the G in IWGP stands for Goto. There's 2 G's in my name. Again, very funny stuff. So Shingo says since Zack beat him out to the ring and also beat him in a title defense last year, he'll let Zack have the first shot and then Shingo will face the winner. So they set up both title matches, the first one being Zack versus Goto this Friday at Resurgence, then the winner defending against Shingo at Dominion. I think it's probably pretty likely that Goto is going to retain on Friday. I don't really think they're going to do a title change in America. It just seems weird. And Shingo Goto makes a lot more sense to me than doing Shingo Zack again. So Goto, to get the defense thing in, he's at 5 defenses now. So he's already got the record, and he's only at 87 days. So 5 defenses, 87 days. Or 83 days. Sorry. So some of the other title reigns around him in the amount of days for this title. Okada 94 days made 2 defenses. Naito 99 days made 2 defenses. Naito's other reign 106 days made 1 defense because that was during the G1 mostly. Zack Sabre Jr. 120 days made 4 defenses. Okada another reign 159 days 4 defenses. Jay White, the famous fucking horrible reign, 206 days 2 defenses.
Yeah.
Shingo Takagi 211 days 3 defenses, and Sonata 271 days, still the day record for this title. He made 4 defenses. So Goto's beaten them all for the new world title in only 83 days. And if he beats Zack, he'll be at 6 defenses, and he'll be halfway to the record if you want to count the old IWGP Heavyweight title, which is, of course, Okada's reign from 2016 to 2018 when he made 12 defenses. He'll be at halfway in like less than 90 days, which is crazy. Wow. So they're really racking up these defenses for Goto. I don't think it's because they're setting up to break Okada's record, though. I think maybe they're just setting a new record for this belt. But it makes me wonder if he's going to lose to Shingo at Dominion. Because I could see them going that direction, especially if they decide to turn Shingo heel with the LIJ breaking up and maybe forming a new second heel unit now that the War Dogs are more tweener. I don't know. I mean, I just want to throw that out there as a theory. I've seen other people say it too. It would make a lot of sense to me. Shingo has been a heel many times in his career in Dragon Gate. He's never done it in New Japan. So it would be interesting to me, and it would be a different direction. So
who would you have in a Shingo heel faction?
So that is a good question. You could bring back, first of all, you could bring back Youngblood. They're on excursion right now, so they're just kind of chilling in Australia, clearly waiting to come back. So that would be 2 guys you could put in there.
Working in front of capacity crowds.
Yeah, 3 people, I know. Hontai is really overstuffed right now, so you could move people from into Shingo's faction. I'm trying to think who would make sense. I mean, you could just fucking move United Empire into it and just call them and break up United Empire. I mean, that could be one thing. You could Daiki the guy. You could graduate him early and move him into there. I mean, he looks like a board heel. I don't know who else though. I'd have to think. You could bring Jake Lee back and bring him into it. I mean, he does. I don't know if he really because he should be getting ready to return from injury soon, and I don't know if he really fits with the current War Dogs. But
You
yeah,
can have Sonata turn on the House of Torture.
it's true. Turn on another unit. That'd be fucking. You could do Ishii. Have Ishii. I mean, Ishii always has an edge anyway. You could have him be in this ass kicker heel unit. So yeah, you could. I mean, you could even put Shota in there if you really wanted to, which would be funny given how much Shingo seems to hate him in real life. But you could do.
So if you have Shingo, right, win the belt and turn heel and everything, do you have him carry it all the way to the Dome and then do Yota Tsuji versus Shingo at the Dome?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Ooh, that's cool.
You could do that.
I'm into that.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to see. But there you go. All right, so we weren't really long, so I'm not going to bother previewing anything else. I mean, Takataichi Mania tomorrow has a really cool tag match. So if people haven't seen that, it's Ishii and Taichi against Zack and Akiyama. So check that out. It's a pay-per-view on New Japan World. Also,
it's in like 8 hours, right? Like realistically, is this even going to be up before then?
Hopefully, but yeah, check it out. I guess if you're listening to this after it comes out, Taka and Tanahashi is the main event, and there's also the Inaba Sister War, which I think a lot of Stardom fans are into, myself included. And then Resurgence is this Friday, which you already mentioned as Shingo versus not Shingo, Zack versus Goto is the main event. Really not else a lot interesting on that show anyway, honestly, but it's really that and the three-way for the women's title, I guess, with Monet, Azumi, and Mina. What makes me wonder if they'll finally take the belt off Mercedes, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, I guess we can wrap things up. Paul, anything you want to? Obviously, you have a podcast to plug, so go ahead.
Well, let's go listen to the Emerald Flow show on this very Voice of Wrestling podcasting network. You're probably going to hear me. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about the Noah show, but if you want to hear Gerard's thoughts on the Noah show, that's going to be on the next episode when he's back from Mexico. And we're also going to be talking about kind of the Champion Carnival, however many shows it will have happened until then as well. So you can get our thoughts on that.
Very up and down Champion Carnival.
Yeah, but I mean, it kind of always has, always has been for the last couple of years, I have to say.
Yeah.
It's definitely always very backloaded. It generally always tends to get better with the last couple of shows, to be honest. So
yeah,
the show today was kind of more indication of that. But for more on that, listen to the Emerald Flow show. You can also find us on Twitter and Blue Sky and everything as well. So yeah, go do that.
Send me your things before you get up there. It's or before you So I think I have you actually, but let me just make sure. Well, what do you want to plug?
So I recently revamped my kind of presence around my wrestling blog, which is creativecontrolpw.wordpress.com, in that I've got rid of my Twitter and I'm now on Blue Sky. So if you'd like to follow me and the blog on Blue Sky, creativecontrolpw.bsky.social. I'm in the middle of a writing project right now, and I'm releasing match reviews leading up to a bigger piece coming on the Sunday that we're recording this the week of. So that would be May the 12th or something like that. Anyway, you can find those all on my Blue Sky as well as uploading onto my blog. And I'm talking about my favorite Japanese wrestling promotion, NXT. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about NXT in a year-by-year fashion. So right now I am finishing up 2013 and uploading some match reviews from there and a bigger article on 2013 NXT. I'm really enjoying this whole project, and I kind of give updates on my Blue Sky as well as just general updates on what I'm watching. Just watched a bunch of Kushida matches from CMLL, and just enjoying wrestling and having fun. So that's on Blue Sky, and my blog is creativecontrolpw.wordpress.com.
All righty. So folks, we went 3 hours and 5 minutes, which I did not expect to do, but it's cool. I mean, we're really back in the game now with these longer podcasts. I don't know when we'll be back. I don't have a plan on the books yet. Probably maybe one more at the end of May, or maybe just to June, because a couple weeks from now I'm going to be at Anime Boston. So cheap plug. If there happens to be somebody who listened to all 3 hours plus of this show and is going to Anime Boston, I will be hosting 2 panels at Anime Boston. So Friday night, I should have brought the times up ahead of time. I believe it's Friday night at 7:30. Yes, Friday night at 7:30, I'm hosting a Japan travel panel. So if you want to know any question, like I can answer any question you want about how to travel to Japan, how to, how to book everything and where you should go and all that kind of cool stuff. So that'll be Friday night on May 23rd at Anime Boston, 7:30. And then Saturday night at Anime Boston on the 24th at 9:30, I'll be hosting a Japanese pro wrestling panel. So that's kind of more like an intro to Japanese pro wrestling, which I'm assuming somebody listening to this doesn't really need. We go through all the promotions and how to watch them and everything, but we're also going to play clips and stuff, so I'm sure you'll have a good time anyway if you do decide to go. But yeah, that'll do it, folks. You can follow us on Twitter at WrestleOmakase. Wrestling, of course, did not fit. And folks, we will see you next time.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.